Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of the Box on the GDQ Hotfix. My name is Teetri, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you this evening, today, or wherever and whenever you happen to be watching. Out of the Box is a show that wants you to know that you can speedrun. Yes, you. It features runs that don't need to be set up. You don't need to change files in the game. You don't need to bind arbitrary controls. And our runners, despite both of tonight's runners being extremely, extremely talented, in fact, world record holders in their categories, are here to help show that you can learn how to run games just by getting into it. You know, that was my experience when I started speedrunning after 30, about 5 years ago. When I started getting into the scene, I actually didn't start running myself until a little over 2 years ago. And I just happened to find the right game where I played a level. I was like, that was great, but I could probably do that faster. And I think you might hear those kinds of stories and other ones that can inspire you to try speedrunning for yourself, even if it's just individual tricks or levels like we'll show you on our 2 runs tonight. We have Waifu with us running Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition, a new game run as Dante coming up first, and then JJSRL with Mario Sunshine, an any percent run, plus an additional exhibition of glitches, tips, and tricks. So with that all out of the way, this show is about to get crazy. Waifu, let's rock.
Hello, everyone. My name is Waifu, or you might know me on YouTube as Waifu Runs. I run a lot of different games, but my main squeeze for a long time has been Devil May Cry. I am the world record holder for Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 3. Working on getting the other ones. But I'm here today to show off my favorite game, and a game in easily my top 3 speedruns of all time, Devil May Cry 3. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about what I like about it, what's cool about it, my story with it and stuff, but it is a bit of a longer run, so we'll do it while we're playing. This is a new game, normal. Basically default difficulty, fresh save file. And we're going to try to beat it in just about an hour. So here we go. That's time. Playing on normal. So in Devil May Cry 3, there are 4 main styles of gameplay that you can use in the shop here. We're immediately going to switch to Royal Guard. The other ones have their uses, but Royal Guard is easily the best one for speedrunning, and that's because it allows you to cancel almost all of your animations and also does insane damage. Like that, I just killed 3 enemies at the same time with just 1 perfect counter. The downside to Royal Guard is that perfect counter I just did there is literally a 3-frame trick, and the game runs at 60 FPS, so that's 1/20th of a second. If we're playing really well, going to be hitting a lot of those throughout the run, making this run really, really execution heavy and really difficult. The upside is, though, you don't have to. It saves a lot of time when performed at a super high level, but you don't have to do all the crazy strats to speedrun this game. And that was something that I had to get over when I first started running this game, is I was very intimidated by all the crazy gold releases and tech that I'd never seen before. And then I just saw someone do a run where they just played on Trickster style, a way, way more approachable style, and just blasted through the game in about an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, I actually could probably do that. So that's our first mission down. There's 20 to go in this game. At an S rank, that's great. Another great thing about this run is that unlike some of the other Devil May Cry games, the routing, the economy is super, super lax. So while there's all sorts of crazy stuff,
that even at high level, every run, or just about every run in the top 10 does its routing differently in terms of what you buy and when.
Yeah, in Devil May Cry 1, that's the case. But in DMC 3, in DMC 3, it's similar, but in a different way. The route is so simple that you don't need to do anything in particular. The money is almost used for nothing, and almost the entirety of the run is based on just how well that you play each individual section. So like, just how well you're doing at doing the combat in each room is not going to affect other combat rooms. So here we're selling off the other
that works well for me as somebody who doesn't like routing with something that has historically been very intimidating to me. The idea that, oh, I have to remember to do this thing at this time or it's going to mess me up 3 levels later.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that at all with this game, which is really nice. You pretty much just have to take each room at a time at face value, and what you did in the previous room doesn't affect it. So here, the Royal Guard allows you to block and counter enemy attacks, which is what we're using it for. When you see a big shiny, like ting sound like that, that's me perfectly blocking an attack. That's way easier to do than perfectly countering an attack. But every time I do that, it stores up a little bit of meter. And then when I do a counter, then that counter does more damage if I have that stored up. So right here, we're going to do a bit of a shop. I got an S rank on the first 2 missions, which means I'm going to be able to buy Stinger 2 here. This is the only purchase in the game that like really is affected by your route. Besides that, it's like totally whatever. And then if you miss those ranks, you just buy it later in this mission. So you don't even lose out on it for just this mission.
Oh, nice. It's not even a reset point.
Yeah, it's like not a big deal. I think it loses like 15 seconds or something.
Yeah, honestly, I was prepping to say, hey, if there's a reset point, at least it's early on.
Yeah, but no, there isn't really. The reset point is when you give up.
Fair enough.
So yeah, there's lots of complicated combos and all sorts of stuff that's going on within like the higher level play of this game. But the great thing is it's not that important. Like you can just go through and do the combat and just do it to the best of your ability and not die. And you can get anywhere in like the 130 to 145 range pretty easily. And a lot of the little techniques and stuff that I'm doing are things that can be picked up, even if you're not going to speedrun, just for your own enjoyment. Like before I speedrun this game, I liked using Royal Guard, but I had literally no idea that you could perfectly counter attacks. I would just store up the meter and then just do an empty release, like without timing it perfectly, just to do damage. And then when I saw a speedrun, my mind was blown. There's a lot of stuff like that in this game. This is the first real boss, Cerberus, bit of a gatekeeper for people.
I imagine that feels, the way you were describing learning how to use Royal Guard is kind of like playing a game with somebody and you realize that they read the manual. yeah, basically. We're like, oh, I see. That makes sense. Like, perfect example here, if you hit Cerberus's foot, they'll fall over, allowing you to do a whole ton of extra damage for free. I'm also doing some tech here with the shotgun. I'm shooting the shotgun way faster than you're supposed to be able to. And the way I'm doing that is I am pressing the block button, the Royal Guard button, in between each shotgun shot. And that is just canceling the recovery animation, allowing me to loop it over and over and over again. And even if you're not going to do anything crazy speedrun techy, like that is so useful to know that you can cancel your animations with Royal Guard. You can cancel pretty much every animation in the game, which makes your recovery just super fast. It makes you way more agile. You're not like hyper committed to everything. There's the first boss down. He's going to give us another weapon. So now we're going to have 2 weapons. We're going to have Cerberus and Rebellion. Rebellion is the big pointy sword that we're going to be using to stinger around the place and have some faster movement. I'm also recovering between those attacks, the stinger attacks, faster by pressing the block button. This mission is, it's funny how accessibility in speedruns works, because the stuff that looks really flashy is often what gets people into running them when they might not be the easiest things. This mission has the only like glitch skip in the whole game on it. That's called Giga Zip. We're gonna skip the Gigapede boss fight by doing a bit of an out of bounds. And for some people, seeing that kind of thing can be really intimidating, because you go like, oh man, that looks really hard. I don't think I could do that. And then I also find for other people, they go, whoa, that looks really cool. I want to try it. Giga Zip is kind of a nice in-between spot where it looks really difficult and it looks really cool, but it's got so much utility and is actually quite approachable, so that people will... I found a bunch of people learn to do it even before they started speedrunning, just because they thought it was cool. Basically what it is, there is... this next room it's connected to another room later in the level, but there's a wall in the way. And if I knock this enemy up here and then bait him into attacking me, I could stand on this railing
and perfectly time a counter. And because I'm on the edge of the railing when I counter, I actually get what's called a zip, which sends me flying way faster than the game's supposed to be able to, and it puts me right through the wall. And I'm able to aim at the enemy in the background to actually zip through the wall and land at the end of the level, which skips a couple of other rooms and a big boss fight.
Nice.
And that boss fight's really, really annoying. It's a lot of people's least favorite boss fight in the game, except for maybe Arkham. So just being able to skip that makes the game's pacing a lot more enjoyable.
Now, if you wanted to tell people what you were doing earlier today that made GigaZip kind of unfeasible.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because I actually did do GigaZip in that run.
Oh,
but
you did? Wow.
Yeah. Earlier today, I was, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I turned 26 today. I was doing this game on Dante Must Die, the hardest difficulty, but I put the final boss in every room on top of the normal enemies. So, yeah, I didn't get any further than this room today. Maybe tomorrow.
That's what it takes to make the game challenging for a world record holder, as it turns out.
I guess. I don't know. I think I could have made it a little easier on myself. It still would have been hard.
Fair.
So this is Jester. He is, this is one of the few missions where you get 2 boss fights on the same mission. This guy was added in the special edition of the game, which is what you'll be seeing on the HD collection and also on Steam. The non-special edition actually, in the North American version of the non-special edition, normal mode is hard mode, and there's also no turbo mode. Turbo mode is a thing in this game that makes the game run at 20% faster speeds. That's another great thing with accessibility for this game, is if you're having a hard time like trying to get into the pace of things, you can just turn turbo mode off and the whole game literally runs 20% slower. It makes everything like way easier to read and much more approachable.
Yeah, like a built-in training mode. That's cool.
Basically, yeah, like a built-in training mode. You get everything to run in slow motion. I will say though, I would not recommend it if you're trying to learn Royal Guard. You would think like slower attacks, easier to time.
No, you need that timing to be what it's gonna be. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the attacks coming at you faster makes it so that you don't really have to time them. You can kind of just react. And reacting to something is way easier than timing it intentionally, at least for me personally. Yeah, I am playing on turbo mode, yes. I mean, at the higher level, no reason not to. You literally just save like 10 minutes throughout the game just by playing on a faster speed. So in mission 5 now, you don't know the story of this game. We are Dante. He's a demon hunter who's half human, half demon. In this game, his brother Virgil has summoned this giant tower out of the ground and is going to use it to open the gate to hell. And we actually kind of like humans, so we're going to try to stop him. We're now climbing up the tower.
You know, just a little spat between brothers.
Yeah, you know, just family feud.
The kind of ways you prank each other.
Yeah, I think Steve Harvey would like this game, honestly.
I'm imagining a Steve Harvey gif in my head, and I imagine probably most of chat is coming up with something similar.
The same gif. So we're on our way now to Agni and Rudra, which is going to be a double boss fight. We're going to find 2 bosses at the same time. On our way there, we have a classic Capcom elevator. Capcom, all of their elevators are super weak. They can only go up if there's a limited amount of people on them. If you get more than like 6 people on this lift, it just starts to go back down. You have to do it all over again. Thankfully, our new weapon Cerberus is really good at crowd control. So we're going to be farming these guys. The amount of orbs that enemies drop you. Oh no! Classic. That's what happens when you fall off the lift. The amount of orbs that enemies drop you actually changes depending on your style rank. You'll see when I kill enemies, I see the D, like dope. The way that I vary my combos is going to make that go up, and the higher that is when the enemy dies, the more money they'll drop me.
Yeah, so you actually kind of could tell I was thinking about it because you got to triple S stylish just a second ago.
Yeah,
but you also mentioned earlier that it doesn't make a huge amount of difference in most of the routing here, right?
No, the routing actually doesn't really matter too much for it, but you can get some like additional things that'll make things safer. Okay. If you do get more money, and also I'm trying to make sure that I have as much health as possible. And with more orbs being dropped, it's more likely that I get green orbs that heal me. All right, so now we're going to the boss fight. We're gonna be juggling 2 different bosses at the same time here. We want to kill them at the same time because if I kill them separately, there's gonna be a big, long 20-second unskippable cutscene. And then they're gonna combine, which is gonna make them harder to fight.
I was gonna say, there's also the whole phase 2 matter, but
yeah, that's a bit annoying. So actually, we're gonna do a really easy strategy here. That's quite easy to copy at home. The shock and cancel not so much. That's a little difficult. But if you parry their swords twice, then they will get knocked away, and you can just do free damage on them. Shooting them causes them to do like a little tink tink on the sword, and then they'll always attack. And doing empty releases, I'm intentionally releasing really, really early so that I don't accidentally zoom through the enemy. And you can just do early releases like that to get a really, really clean, consistent parry over and over again. Then boom. Dunzo. Boss is done. Didn't combine. We also now have Agni Rudra, which is going to be way better than Cerberus.
the classic.
So we're going to switch over to that as our secondary weapon. You can only have 2 guns and 2 swords equipped at the same time in this game. So we're going to equip Agni Rudra and Rebellion. Rebellion's going to be equipped the entire time, basically, because the Stinger move is super, super good for speed. But then our secondary weapon is going to change depending on what our better damage output is. And right now, we're going to skill up pretty hard on mission 7 because we're going to do some new tech, some jump canceling with Agni Rudra. Rebellion and Cerberus don't really have good attacks to do jump cancels with, but Agni Rudra still does. So we'll be using that. Also get some free rides right off the enemy. Much faster than Stingering. Quite fun.
Yeah. Save your wrist for a little bit there till you come back to this. But I feel like Stinger's dashing is one of those techniques that everyone just kind of picked up naturally, especially if you have fancy hands.
Oh yeah, you're just like walking around. You're like, I don't know. I need some like RTS APMs going. I need to do my hands to go. You got the ADHD. You gotta get the inputs out.
If you're not pressing buttons, are you really playing the game?
I don't know. I don't think that holding the left analog stick in a direction constitutes playing the game. At least not in my soul. You know, I need a little bit more stimulation than that. So the game is mission structured, which is great, especially if you're just like trying to get into things. There's an in-game timer. The in-game timer is like actually really solid in this game. It doesn't count any of the menus or anything, so you can just see like raw how well you did in the gameplay itself. That's quite fun.
A couple questions out of chat if you got time.
Yeah, go for it.
We got what upgrades are important?
The only upgrade that we're gonna get in the entire game is Stinger. We already have it. We bought it on mission 3. Outside of that, everything else can be done with the base moveset. So the exception to that, I guess, being Royal Guard, we get the styles that you use in this game level up over time when you kill enemies. Because we skipped the Gigapede boss fight, we actually lost a lot of experience. So we're not going to get level 2 Royal Guard just yet. We would already have it actually by mission 6 if we hadn't done that trick. But we get it a little bit later because of that. And those, you don't even get level 3 Royal Guard in the run, and you don't buy any other abilities or moves in the entire game. So that's pretty much it. So here we're going to show off jump canceling. Basically, when you do aerial attacks, you can jump off enemies' heads, and that resets the recovery. And so enemies like this that don't get knocked away by the attack, you can loop the jump attack over and over and over again. An aerial cross, the jump attack with Agni Rudra, is super strong. It does crazy high damage because it's not balanced around you doing it 20 times in a second. So because of that, you can completely kill those greed enemies before they get to spawn anyone. Normally they swing that coffin around, put it in the ground, and have some spirits come out. Those spirits, if they hit the ground, spawn in extra enemies. You're not going to get to see any extra enemies, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. More enemies is slow.
It is
Speaking of
slow.
enemies, the other question that was waiting for you is, what's your favorite boss across the whole series?
Favorite boss across the whole series? Gotta be Credo, DMC4. Best boss fight I ever made. Easily. Virgil 3 is up there, though. He's like probably second place from this game. You'll see him for approximately 20 seconds later in the run.
But hey, if you follow Waifu at twitch.tv/Waifu, you might see Virgil a lot more often. If you ever
You'll
decide
definitely
to
see
do
a
that again.
lot of Virgil. Yeah, you might see a Virgil in every room in the game. So here we got 2 more fights with the Greeds. This time we get some less spawn in with them. You're still definitely not going to get to play the game. That's fine. Rogar takes a little bit of a backseat at this point. It's still super useful, but it becomes much more situation dependent. You're not so much like setting up and trying to get intentional royal guards and releases.
Yeah, you don't have to let enemies have a turn.
Yeah, you could just take away their controller instead of trying to counter them.
Like, they still have a controller, it's just that it's unplugged.
Yeah, it's like little bro.
Exactly.
He thinks he's playing, but he's really not. You'll also see me doing some tech called switch canceling. If I switch weapons in the middle of a combo, it cancels the recovery animation of the current attack I'm doing. So I'll switch back and forth between my 2 different sets of swords in order to continue to loop it. That's great because a lot of the combo enders or your swords end up sending the enemy away. And we don't want that. We want to keep them as close as possible. You know, keep your enemies closer. And here's that boss from mission 2. Becomes a more normal enemy now, more of a mini boss. For good reasons. Not going to be here very long.
Absolutely a staple of a certain era of character action and adventure games, though.
Oh yeah, you gotta show the player how much better they've gotten by giving them a boss fight as a normal encounter. The trick to it though is they give them less HP.
There's a few things. There's that, and you know, if you're playing casually, you picked up some new techniques and things of that nature.
Yeah, true.
To power you up.
All right, so we're in the rain on top of the big anime tower here to fight our lifelong rival, our brother. Virgil here. He's gonna get swept though. This is not MVC3. I'm sorry, little bro. You're not good in this game. Roll guard's a little busted. But you can hit Virgil a certain number of times and then he dies. No, a certain number of times before he then auto parries you. So I count till right before he auto parries me and then stop and then bait him into attacking again so that I can continue to loop him. Give little Virgil the fruit loops. Now that we're in mission 8, we've unlocked Devil Trigger. With Devil Trigger, we basically have a super mode that we can use whenever we want. Those little orbs underneath my health bar are indicative of our Devil Trigger. We need at least 3 to activate. And once we do extra damage. All of our animations are faster. We take less damage and also we heal over time. Super, super useful. We're going to be routing that a lot in the speedrun. It's super useful to do enemy wave clears because in this game there's also a technique called Devil Trigger Explosion. Devil Trigger Explosion, basically I just hold down the DT button and it'll slowly charge up. And then the more you charge it up, the bigger of an explosion or damage radius that you get. And you can actually instantly wave clear most arenas by doing a max charged up Devil Trigger Explosion. And so now at this point, a lot of the run comes down to routing your Devil Trigger. Blocking with Royal Guard is a huge way to build up Devil Trigger, but also damage scales 1-to-1 with DT gains. So the exact amount of damage you're doing is also the exact amount of Devil Trigger that you build. So you definitely get super, super rewarded for doing high damage with more damage. So taunting also builds Devil Trigger. You'll see me do that after enemies are dead. Jump canceling gives Devil Trigger additionally as well. And you can jump cancel the dead bodies of enemies after they die. You'll see me doing all sorts of little things to farm DT, really juice it, squeeze it out as much as I can. That's another one of those techniques that you could just pick up in your casual playing as well, the Devil Trigger Explosion. absolutely trivializes a lot of stuff. And if you want to play on the harder difficulties like Dante Must Die, it's absolutely necessary.
That's cool. So it's good to know that like that basic technique that you can get on an easier difficulty and learn how to use continues to be equally, if not more useful as you go towards higher difficulties.
Oh yeah, way more useful. Totally. So we're coming up on the Leviathan Heart.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh god, no, you go. You go.
I was thinking, you know, higher difficulties are going to mean enemies have higher health pools. Are you getting more of your Devil Trigger because you're doing more damage to enemies overall to defeat the waves that you do without the DTE?
Yeah, in a way, that's definitely a big reason. Here we have the Leviathan boss fight. We got to kill one of the side organs so that we can attack the middle one. That Devil Trigger explosion there you saw killed that enemy in the background, and then I did a gold release there. And that release is building my Devil Trigger back up really quickly so that I can charge another Devil Trigger explosion and kill the boss in one cycle. If I didn't hit that release, then I wouldn't have had enough Devil Trigger to do another explosion, and then I'd have to do 2 cycles. Shout out to Bandit.
Chat, I blinked and I missed it, so I hope you were watching.
Yeah, the game goes by quite fast. Maybe watch it again in half speed if there's a section that you want to.
There you go. You can watch it outside of turbo mode.
Yeah, exactly. Turn off turbo mode for viewing. Nice try, door. It really wanted to hit me. The doors attack you in this game. I don't know. People might not know that, but really, really useful because with Royal Guard, you can block and parry anything in the game, including the doors. So in rooms like this, actually, the strategy is to stand by the door and farm blocks so you build more Devil Trigger and also some release.
Take it builds up more than doing taunts, or is taunting only possible when they're... Yeah.
You can only taunt every couple of seconds or so. Otherwise, it doesn't build your Devil Trigger. All right, here's another zip. We did that zip on mission 4. This is the other one. This one only saves like 20 seconds and is random. Oh, I did it first try. Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's cool. So standing on the edge of a surface and then doing a gold release causes you to get an insane amount of speed and be able to go out of bounds. Right there, I'm aiming at the enemies across the gap and standing on a stairwell so that I'm able to zip across the gap. Saves like 20 seconds. It's random because the enemy, the Enigma, has absolutely terrible aim, and you can only parry attacks that actually hit you. So if he misses, then you're just kind of standing there waiting in hopes that it'll eventually happen one day. And that was me, honestly, sitting there in hopes, waiting that it would eventually happen one day. When it came to speedrunning these games, I started speedrunning like almost 6 years ago now. And I started with this game, Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. It's a PlayStation 2 3D platformer Metroidvania. It's a banger.
Shout out to the Scooby-Doo community.
The Scooby-Doo is sick and the Scooby-Doo community is great. But not my type of speed game, personally. I'm stuck at platformers. That's why I stick to Devil May Cry and some first-person shooters. But I was intimidated. I wanted to speedrun games that I thought would be more my speed, but I was like, well, I'm not good enough at that. I can't speedrun Devil May Cry 3. That's scary. So what I did is eventually I built up the courage to speedrun some Devil May Cry 3 as well, but I did it super, super casually, which I thought was actually a really good way to go about it. I just didn't really practice. I maybe watched the tutorial once, and just played the game, but put up a timer. And that's honestly the way I suggest everyone gets into speedrunning is don't overdo it, don't overcook it, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just play the game, put up a timer, boom, you did a speedrun. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't gotta be doing all the skips and boss strats and blah, blah, blah. You can improve so much just by playing the game, I feel like. And this game is exceptionally true for that, I feel. Just by playing the game and oh, this time I didn't die in this room. Boom, I saved a couple of minutes. And you can easily do that. and just do a couple runs. After your first playthrough might take you like 20 hours, and then your second playthrough, like boom, 10 hours. That's an insane improvement. And you do another playthrough, and like 5-6 playthroughs later, you're down to 3 hours. You know, I think that's the best way to handle it. Personally.
I love that you brought that up because, like I mentioned during the intro, I don't know if you heard it, but I said basically what got me into speedrunning, what finally tricked me and took me over the edge from, I don't think I'm the kind of person who played the same game for hundreds of hours. I love having a bunch of different games and all that. And it was a game, it was a beat 'em up. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. The individual levels are a couple of minutes each, and it was just like, hey, that level felt really good. I barely got hit, but I bet I could still do it faster. And a combination of that and the fact that the game was still new, and there wasn't a lot of like routing. There wasn't, oh, you use this character this way. And I just kind of set up live split and went to town.
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest barrier to entry for speedrunning any game is just yourself. It's just like your own ego or your own insecurity about like whether you're going to be good enough for it or blah, blah, blah. And I think it's silly. Like, it's just playing a video game fast, Like, maybe you're not going to be as good as you were potentially hoping, but like, that's everybody. I now have the world record for both this game and DMC1. And when I started, I was too intimidated to like even do a proper speed run. I actually picked up a bunch of other games before I picked up this one, even though this is the one I really wanted to speed run, just because I didn't think I was going to be good enough for it. And like, it was right. I was right. I wasn't good enough for it. But primarily the reason for that is because I was not doing it. Like as soon as I started doing it, I got better. It's funny how that works. Like everyone who's good at anything at some point starts off being terrible at it,
Yes, indeed. As Jake from Adventure Time once said, the sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something.
Exactly. And we actually had, we have like a kind of a big problem with that in the Devil May Cry speedrunning community because Devil May Cry, really pretty niche, honestly. Like it's kind of big, but it's nothing compared to like a Source game or like a Mario game or something. So the community is always super, super small. And of course, it's more fun when there's more people involved,
Yeah, so you did something recently that I want to ask you about to help counteract that. Tell me a little bit about the Demon Free.
Yeah, well, building to it. Sorry, this fight is a little hard.
No, right on. I forgot if we were a little early to get to that. You did tell me when you wanted to mention it.
Yeah, we're here. So, but like a couple of people in the community like really wanted it to grow. And so over the years, we put in a lot of effort into doing so. Doing like community events and tournaments or like showcases on GDQ is a big one. One of the reasons that I got into speedrunning Devil May Cry in the first place is Maxi Lobes running a DMC1 at GDQ. And we found over time that the best way to get people involved is to just lower the barrier to entry as much as humanly possible. And so I also am a part of the Halo speedrunning community. Shout out to Halo Runs. Great people over there. But they do this event called the Grand Prix. Where they basically do, it's like weeklies if you do fighting games. You basically just, every week they announce a level on a game and everyone has that whole week to get the best time that they can in that level. And you provide like resources, so even if you've never played that game or never tried to speedrun that game before, you can just pick it up and watch like maybe a little tutorial and just pick up like a digestible bite-sized piece of the overall speedrun. And so, me being the content creator that I am, I did the old yoink and twist. I took the idea and put a little bit of a twist on it. And so recently I did an event called the Demon Prix. This is the last week of the Demon Prix right now, actually. It was a 10-week event where every week we did one mission from one of the first 3 DMC games, and everyone got to, I provided a tutorial, like, look, this is here how you do everything in the level. Here's everything you possibly need to know. And you just do one level. It's a really digestible, bite-sized piece of the speed run. We did 4 level, or I think it was 3 levels from DMC3 and 4 levels from DMC1, and 3 levels from DMC2. And it was a really, really good time. We saw a huge turnout. Lots of people who had never ever speedrun a game before in their lives, picking up for just a level or two, And I think that a huge part of that was just lowering the barrier to entry as much as possible. Just like, look, you don't have to be super good. This is just for fun. Like, we are just showing how to speedrun this level. It's a lot less intimidating to pick up a 1-4-second long level than it is to pick up an hour-long game, you know? And especially with everyone participating together and a lot of new people doing it at the same time, it's been a really, really cool experience. And we've even seen a couple of those people that joined in on the Demon Pre as their first time running anything DMC pick up a full game afterwards, because it's just like, oh, well, it gives me a bite-sized piece of like the first 3 Devil May Cry games. Like, which one of these is the most fun? Like, do I think I'd like running the whole game of one of these? And some people even thought that that was the case, which is really, really cool. I was very happy with how that turned out. And I think that more people should run events like that, focusing primarily on accessibility of stuff, because I don't know, just like people get really intimidated, which is fine. It's normal, right? Trying new things is scary. But my biggest takeaway was always that you can do it. The only reason that you wouldn't be able to do something, especially when it comes to something like speedrunning, is when you tell yourself that you can't. As soon as you tell yourself that you can't, then you can't. You're right. You know? But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you don't have to participate in.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, thank you for being part of the thing you wanted to see, especially for a franchise that you care so much about, and that was something that you almost didn't get into yourself. I appreciate you telling us that story and how you came to help make a positive difference for it.
Thanks. I'll talk about it more in a second, but this boss fight is really sick, so I'm gonna hopefully just delete this entire boss's health bar in an instant. So this boss has a weak point on his eyeball, and so if you do a gold release on the eyeball, this happens.
Nice.
That's one of the harder boss cycles in the game, but easily the most satisfying. That one is hype. But yeah, I don't know. I've always been the type of person that sees something that I feel like needs to be done, and it's like, well, I guess I'll do it. And so I've organized a lot of events over the years with stuff like that, especially ones focused on accessibility. Either like tournaments for games or charity events, that kind of stuff, just to get more people's attention on speedrunning. I think that it's one of those things that people just kind of inherently think is cool, but they never see themselves doing it. But if you just break down those barriers and like put them in a position where they are the person doing it, like, then they're like, oh, actually I can do this. And then once they're in, you know, they don't ever want to stop.
Yeah, that's often the case. And I feel like one of the things for me that really helped, and I don't know if you feel the same way, I think what you were getting at earlier kind of alludes to the fact that you might agree. But for me, it was just, hey, the only person I'm competing with right now is myself.
Yeah,
I'm not setting live split up to anything other than my last run, or, you know, the time that I set for this level.
Yeah, I honestly, that's a huge personal philosophy with speedrunning in general for me, is that, like, I like that it's competitive. I like competing with other people, but I am really happy that it's asynchronous competition. Like, I compete with other people on the leaderboard, but I don't have to be like toxic towards each other the way that like certain esports can be and stuff. You know, like everyone like wants to build each other up and like wants to see everyone else improve and just like push the game forward. And so like, even if you're competing with other people, really at the end of the day, you're just competing with yourself, right? It's kind of like going to the gym or something. Like you're pushing yourself to be better, and that's like the whole goal. And I think that people often get wound up in their scope being too big. Like they're thinking about, oh, I want to like be able to compete to be the best or whatever. But it's not really what speedrunning is about in my estimation, at least to me. It's about just pushing yourself to be better.
Yeah, and I feel like for, you know, games done quick and for a lot of marathons, even when they're showcasing a race, it really is that showcase portion that takes precedence. Yeah. You can tell with some of the big races like, you know, Super Metroid at the most recent mainline event. Those runners absolutely love that game and each other as fellow community members, and that was like the main point of how that went. It's not like anybody was making fun of each other for missing a skip or, you know, upset that they weren't the first person to finish with the race.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I mean, the competitive aspect of it keeps it engaging long term, I feel. But like, there's no reason to be like absorbed in it. Not that many people actually care that much about like placements and stuff. They're just happy that, like, okay, for example, speedrunning is one of the only forms of competition I've ever seen where people will be in the chat of the person that's beating their world record or time and like stoked on them.
Absolutely.
They're like hyping them up, like, yeah, dude, do it. Like, you got this. Like, focus up, or like giving them advice. It's like, that's the person that's trying to take away your title or whatever. But people don't care, you know, like they want you to be better, even if a lot of it might be because they like want to just push themselves further. I think it's just great overall, the whole mindset. I like it a lot. I actually, part of the reason I got into speedrunning is because I was just sick and tired of competitive FPS because everyone just tears each other down and it's so toxic in that sort of environment. So jumping to something that is still competitive, but in a much more like friendly and like uplifting kind of way, it's just like really refreshing to me. Also, this horse no longer gets to play the game. Goodbye, Garion. Yeah, I like that a lot more because it reminds me, before I started speedrunning, I was actually trying to become a professional skateboarder, and skateboarding is often the same way actually. Like, everyone is just stoked that people are skating. Like, no one, I mean, sometimes people do, but it's really rare, and it's not like the way the culture is. People don't really get egoed about like, oh, this person's like better or lands this trick or that trick or blah, blah. Everyone's just like sessioning together and stoked that like everyone's like pushing themselves to be better. And it doesn't matter, like, you might be at the skate park and someone's like just barely learning how to drop in, and someone might be throwing 540s, and like people get equally stoked for both people just because they want to see people push themselves overall. And I think the speedrunning community has that mentality just as much, which I think is great. That's why I found it right at home because of that.
Yeah,
it's an easy transition to be like,
there are a lot of communities. There are a lot of communities where it's like, you know, watching somebody do the speedrun equivalent of like their first heel flip is just super jazzing, because genuinely I feel like you talk to most people who run long enough or run like games that don't have large communities, like you alluded to the DMC community being relative to everything else, of course, but like they just want more people to play their game.
Yeah,
they will walk you through whatever you need to know about how to do the game, and beyond that, it's down to you to find the motivational style that works for you, the level of engagement you want to give. You know, that's why we started talking early on about what tricks are like fundamental and what tricks are kind of more ornamental or more high level skill when it comes to playing this game.
All right, so we got the second vertical boss fight coming up. This one's a lot harder. It's got a big cycle skip that I'm going to be going for here. I'm getting PTSD from my earlier stream. There we go. 4, 5, 6.
Don't worry, Jester's not here.
Yeah, thank goodness. By doing enough damage, we are going to hopefully do. Yeah, I got it. So when you do 40% of his HP, he activates his double trigger. But then you do a little bit more than that, and he does another phase change into switching to Yamato. And that actually knocks him out of the double trigger phase. So you can just completely skip his ability to use his super moves and heal himself and all that stuff. Make the fight way easier. That's a quite difficult cycle, but super, super useful there. Nice, I got mass strength. Yeah, but that's my favorite part about the speedrunning community, honestly, is that everyone is like pushing each other and also pushing themselves at the same time, because like, it's all about your own improvement, you know, like for your own little personal journey, and having other people better around you makes you better. There's been a lot of like really funny stories actually in the Devil May Cry community of that exactly. I remember it's something I was working towards making a video on. Maxi Lobes, the long-time DMC1 world record holder back in the day, he intentionally just didn't learn any new strategies for like 4 world records in a row. Because it made everyone else who was also competing at a high level really angry. Because we're all like, dude, you gotta learn these strats. Like, they're faster. Like, we proved that they're faster. He's like, but you guys can't beat my time. And that was his way of like motivating all of us to go get better at the game. And it works. Now he's out of top 10. There's like a ton of new runners that have much better times than him, even though for a super, super long time, he was like undefeated, like no one could touch him. And because of that, now there's like this mentality of like always routing, always finding new strats in DMC1 because of Maxi being so stubborn, he wouldn't do it. And it's great.
Yeah.
Like, he totally did it intentionally too.
That's actually one of the other things that I really like about speedrunning communities is there are people like you who will know the history of where the community came from, whether it's just because you have been in it and doing it for a long time or you've heard the history passed down. Speedrunning communities are really big about knowing their history, being able to tell you those stories about... Dante, you good?
Yeah, don't mind that. He's all right.
Right on. But yeah, you know, it's just like there is that recognition for, hey, here's how we got here.
Yeah, I think it's super important. And even just like, even if you're not doing any of this, the speed running tech yourself, you're not actively doing runs, being involved and understanding that lore makes you, like tangentially involved and makes it so that it's easier to jump in at any point. Even if you're just like a viewer, you're just like a long time watcher of Devil May Cry speedruns or something, you know, knowing all those little things makes it that much easier to be like connected and a part of it. And to make it feel like a bigger part of the community. And then at some point, if you know you decide that you want to join in, then like you're right there. You haven't missed a step, you know. I think that's really cool. I find a lot of people will do that as well with the tech, where they're just like, they'll pick up one or two things here or there, just little stuff. Like maybe they learn how to do a gold release in this game, or they like just, you know, maybe just take their hand at doing a couple of jump cancels here and there.
Yeah,
nothing
absolutely.
Crazy.
Like one of the other things that I have a lot of respect and admiration for in speedrunning is people who just do like glitch hunting or help people figure out routing. You know, it's kind of like what you were describing with Maxi Lobes. He wasn't using those best tricks, but the execution was there. So at that point, the rest of you were doing the routing, such as it were.
Yeah, he outsourced the routing to everyone else, but then didn't even use it himself.
Exactly. Well, that's a little different, but yeah. And hey, if you all watching want to get more involved with the GDQ community, you can join the official GDQ Discord and add yourself to the Hotfix Enjoyer role, so you can keep tabs on upcoming events, talk with staff, and more. Use !Discord in Twitch chat for more info.
Speaking of, there's there's all sorts of places in the community for speedrunning that you can occupy. Like there's a guy, shout out Chris, who was in the speedrun Discord for a super long time and used to do some runs way back in the day. But recently he came out, and all he does pretty much is just individual level runs. He just does ILs. Does like one mission at a time. But he has found so many new strats. He's helped like completely reroute DMC1 like several times. I think maybe 3 times already since he's like joined the community again and started participating. And like, that's great. Like, dude doesn't want to do full game runs. Like, who cares, you know? Like, he just gets to do what he thinks is fun. And you get to all have your own little impact on the community. In his case, not little at all, huge impact. In fact, he has won every single week of the Demon Prix so far. This one is yet to be seen. It's not done yet till Monday, but he has got a perfect score and beaten the world record on every individual level for the entire event. But
wow. Yeah, that's the kind of... That's funny. That's the other knock-on effect, like what you mentioned earlier. You know, it's the kind of thing you often see when a game gets into a GDQ or another big marathon, like Speedruns, which GDQ restreamed recently. The kind of excitement and cultivation of extra effort, and it often results in either lowering times or development of new strategies. It's really cool to hear that came out of an event that was also intended for accessibility as well.
Yeah, I think that's the great part about it, because the competition is asynchronous, you know, like you can push yourself as hard as you want to push yourself. You know what I mean? Just because we're doing like one level doesn't mean that you have to not go crazy with it, right? Like Chris going crazy with it. Dude's wild. I wouldn't do that, but he would, you know, and like that's great. And everyone else gets to benefit from that. You know, no one's like, even if you just find something, discover some piece of tech or whatever, it's like, that's just now you put that in the Discord and now everyone can do it. And everyone's like stoked about it. You know, I think that's really cool. I like the mentality of just building each other up. And that's why I think it honestly sometimes can be kind of silly when people are like really intimidated to participate. It's like, dude, those people that speedrun those games that you are like might be afraid to speedrun are probably going to be so stoked that you want to do it at all. You know what I mean? Like,
and they probably started from where you did.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're probably in the exact same spot you were before you start, and they're just gonna be like so happy. They don't have any expectations, you know. Like maybe you join, you only do one run, and you never come back. Like they're just gonna be stoked that you did that one run. You know, they're not gonna. It's not like every time someone joins Speedrun Discord, they're like, man, this guy's gonna be the next world record holder. I'm just calling it. You know, like. They're not holding their breath on that. They're just excited to see more people engage.
Yeah, like I'm not looking to be the next wife who runs, but I will probably play this game again casually really soon, because it's been a long time.
Yeah, that's great. You should. Banger game. This is my favorite game. It's the GOAT.
The game of all time.
Speaking of, we haven't actually talked about the game in like forever. So this is mission 15. First mission in the game. We are going to set up a death warp here because we have a pretty basic movement kit, and backtracking through this section is really difficult with it. So we are trying to make it so that after we collect this next key item, we die, but not before. So this room is really scary because if we die, then we'll get all our health back, and then the death warp's super slow. Excuse me, sir. Pardon me. We got to go through a couple of meat grinders. Grab an item and then die on purpose. We'll teleport back to the beginning where that door was. We also skipped an optional fight. The dials that I was hitting earlier change the orientation of the rooms. And so if you do the dials in a specific order, you can actually skip an optional spider fight. We do that mad fast, so don't have to do that. And boom, back here. And then we're heading towards the end of the level. We're almost done with the game. This is mission 15. There's only 20 in the game. They get a little bit longer near the tail end, but we're getting there. Mission 16 is one of the levels that we did for the Demon Prix. I think that the world record went down like probably 10 seconds or something crazy by people grinding it for the event, which I thought was super, super cool. And a lot of those new strategies are then getting implemented into full game runs. One of the things that I saw happening because we ran that event is the knock-on effect is crazy. Like you have people find new strats in one room, and then that new strat is usable in every room in the game or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have new strats everywhere, and people are now excited to run full game again. When before we ran that event, DMC was kind of in a lull. It had been a while since we'd done an event or anything, and people just weren't really playing the game that much. But now it's like every day you have multiple runners streaming runs and improving big PBs. I also organized a relay race, which is going to be on April 6th. It'll be hosted on my Twitch channel and also the DMC Speedruns Twitch channel. Basically, it's going to be DMC 1, 2, and 3 speedrun back-to-back from 4 different teams. So you have like someone runs DMC 1, and then when they finish, the next person starts and they run DMC 2, and then when they finish, the next person starts and they run DMC 3.
Nice.
First team to finish.
Series relay.
Yeah, it's fun. It gets people, excited and going. And because of that, tons of new people, big PBs. We got another, I think, our 9th person to beat DMC 3 in under an hour. Shout out to J Slash. He did that yesterday. Super cool.
Terrific.
Super, super stoked about that. Yeah, that'll be on the 6th. I'll be hosting it, and it'll be on the DMC Speedruns channel as well. But I don't know. Honestly, the biggest takeaway for me is that people need to run more stuff, like events and whatnot. It's like community leaders have a lot of power over how the community goes. People often fall into this mindset of like kind of victimhood about like there's not that many people speedrun their game and whatnot. But there's a lot you can do about it. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of hard work. But I mean, when I first started speedrunning Devil May Cry, every single game had like 1/4 the amount of runners that they do now. and the world records were way slower. But through the efforts of people like Maxi and Cosmic and Loner Hero and myself, like, we actually have like a pretty big and vibrant community, and I think that that's something that's really intentional. That doesn't just like happen on accident. So if you're a community leader out there for any game, you want more people involved, there's things that you can do to get them involved, you know, like making robust resources and tutorials, and also like running events and that kind of thing, just keeping the party alive, you know. It's really important, and I got a lot of my inspiration to do stuff like that from stuff like GDQ. I think it's super huge. I think it is impossible to understate the impact that GDQ has had on speedrunning culture, honestly, and the size of speedrunning. So it's really cool to be on here.
Yeah,
to be able to talk about it.
Amazing to have you here, especially on your birthday. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy birthday to me. It's a present for me to be here.
But yeah, to just go from a bunch of folks playing together in mom's basement to a local venue, to just now doing it across the country twice a year, raising money all across the world, you know, dozens of countries, all that stuff. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's the kind of thing that needs a very intentional hand behind it.
Yeah, it doesn't happen on accident.
And you know that not everybody's going to stick around, and I'm sure you've like totally made your peace with that. You kind of said as much earlier, but
yeah, totally. I mean, it happened. Like, not everyone is bound to stay forever, and that's super cool, right? Like, everyone has their little part to play, and it's just, people are going to be stoked that you're involved at all. It takes a lot of effort to get people involved, so if you want to do those people a favor, you could even think of it like that. It's like, hey, maybe we'll make these people really happy to just like have someone run their game, even if it's just like a one-off thing. Because there are people that are out there that put a lot of effort into that kind of thing. And I think it's great. I'm super stoked about it. I mean, I was directly inspired by the Halo Runs community hugely in many ways, for both the relay races and also the Grand Prix, the Demon Prix for Devil May Cry. Like, I just joined the Halo speedrunning community because I like the games, you know. I thought it'd be fun, maybe some good content, and I'm like, man, this is by far the most active speedrunning community I've ever been a part of. I'm like, how do they do it? You know, and I'm like, well, maybe, you know, Halo is just a really popular franchise. That's what it is. And it's like, I'm sure that helps, but it's definitely not why. Like, they put a lot of effort into making sure that they're putting on community events that people feel super welcome. There's a ton of super robust resources and stuff, and that does absolute wonders. It's crazy.
Definitely. And then, like, with Halo in particular, since there's a multiplayer component, you'll just catch people in the Halo speedruns community just casually playing, funning around, putting together multiplayer lobbies. You know, like Brian Otto, Nervy, a couple of people like that that I know from Halo runs are absolutely down to play Halo with their communities regularly.
Yeah, it's great. I think that helps keep it alive. It's awesome.
Hey, before we get too much further, about 20 minutes ago, someone specifically said that I needed to tell you that, and I quote, "Your hair is pretty."
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wanted to make sure we got to that.
Yeah, thank you, Batman. Appreciate you. All right, we're coming up on Doppelganger. For the longest time, we literally never used any styles in DMC3 except for Royal Guard in the speedrun. But very recently, we came up with a strategy between me and Stubby to actually implement the style that you get from fighting this boss, Doppelganger, into Mission 19, which is great because it adds a whole new layer of accessibility to it. Before, I did say that there is pretty much no money route in this game. That was pretty true. You before had to collect like one or two little groups of orbs so that you made sure you had enough money for certain things. But now, because of this new strategy we came up with, there is literally no orb things that you have to grab in the whole game. We recently routed it out, so it's faster to do that, and also you don't have to worry about money pretty much at all. Whereas before there was a bit of margin for error, but it was easy to do. Now it's just completely gone. We won't see that until Mission 19, but we did just unlock that by beating that boss. Mission 18 here. This is the banger, best mission in Devil May Cry easily, in my opinion, and is absolutely just a showcase. It's a boss rush, so you'll see some crazy stuff here, some fast boss kills. Right at the start, we have this chest fight where if I use a holy water, then the king becomes vulnerable instantly, which is great because as soon as you kill the king, as you know in chess, the game is over. And then we have a big old board of bosses that we have to fight. We only have to make a circle, and the smallest circle you can make is with 3 bosses. Agni Rudra, Cerberus, and Beowulf. So we're going to be switching over to Agni Rudra again because Agni Rudra weapons super good against Beowulf and Cerberus. And with these refights, the bosses are actually just as difficult as they were earlier in the game. There's no like less health or anything. But because you have these better weapons that do maybe elemental damage or just have better coverage, they are a complete joke. Good boy.
Yeah, this is very much, you know, it's meant to be casually, but in the speedrun in particular, it's the kind of putting it all together segment of the run.
Yeah, it is really. It's like, okay, you did it all in pieces before, but like, let's just give you one big chunk of challenge here and see how it goes. Also, you didn't have Devil Trigger for fighting Cerberus or Agni Rudra before. That makes the fight a lot easier.
Didn't have to worry about the phase 2 here. Nice.
Yep, definitely no phase 2 here. And we got one more opportunity to show off that really sick quick kill on Beowulf here. Hopefully I'll get it. Oh, wrong weapon. I hit the release, but I didn't hit the right spot. Aw, man, and I didn't stop him. Low.
Even record holders are human sometimes. Or like part human. Yeah, it's not
half
important.
human.
Exactly.
Game's hard, man. It's a hard speedrun. It's one of those things, though. The nice thing, especially about DMC3, is you can just die and die and die and die, and the game will never stop you from beating the game. Like,
True.
It might take you a long time to get past a boss or something, but you're never gonna game over or like run out of continues. You just keep bashing your head against the wall until you make some progress. All right, here is where the new thing gets found. So Doppelganger is a style that allows you to duplicate yourself and have basically just 2 times the damage output, but it uses your Devil Trigger to do so. We are going to use that to hopefully skip. I'm gonna equip this rocket launcher for safety as well, to skip a phase on everyone's least favorite boss fight.
Rocket launcher for safety, as one does in a Capcom game.
Always, the rocket launcher is saved. Mission 19 is a bit of a gimmick mission. There's going to be 2 common encounters that just have straight gimmicks on them. This first one does not, but the second one is going to have these mirrors, where the only way to damage the enemies is actually to hit the mirrors. We're going to use Doppelganger to do really, really fast damage on the mirrors, so you're not going to have to worry about them moving because they incrementally move. So you can see there's 2 Dantes now. Really cool to finally see some other styles being used in the speedrun. It's because you have to go to the shop menu to switch between them. That's usually why they lose so much time to switch styles. It's just not worth it. But because you're able to skip all of that money collecting throughout the entirety of the run, this actually saves time overall, even though on this mission it's a little bit shorter, or a little bit longer, I mean. Oh man, this guy was too far away. That's fine. So for Arkham, he has 2 different types, two different phases that he can do. He has this big blob body phase where he throws attacks at you. But then after you do a certain amount of damage, he'll go underground and spawn in a bunch of dolphins. You have to kill all of the dolphins before he comes back up and you can damage him again. We've been saving money so that we could use holy waters, which just do instant damage to him. But we don't have enough to just kill him outright like that. So we have to do enough damage with our swords and stuff before he dives away. So if I do it right, then he should dive away You should not dive away at all on this first phase. No, unlucky. That's okay. This is why I grabbed the rocket launcher, just in case. So we can...
Wave clear, such as it were.
Yeah, the rocket's super good against the Dolphins. So we can
don't quote that.
solve that.
That's animal violence.
I don't think that... Well, actually, never mind. I was going to say SeaWorld might not care, but...
No, in this case, being that they're spectral and all that, and you're a half demon, I think we can make some minor exceptions.
Yeah. Please die, sir. Thank you. There we go. That's a really new strat, though. So I'm not super surprised that I had some trouble with it. And then we do some damage here. And then we have invincibility frames while using holy waters. A little scary, but all good. That second phase, you can't use your double trigger or your styles, so it's a lot more restrictive. You have Virgil fighting with you. He basically works exactly the same way Doppelganger does. That was a good recovery. Back to Railguard for the final boss fight. We're coming up on time here real soon. Similar to the Virgil 2 fight, we are going to be getting him to a certain health threshold and then killing him before he gets to activate his double trigger. But we need as much double trigger of our own as we can by that point. There we go, GG, that's time. And that's Devil May Cry 3, new game normal. And it looks
GG's,
like
my friend.
Roughly 104, nice, that's not so bad.
Yeah, 104.14 thereabouts.
Come on.
Yeah, so with lows removed, that's probably like a 102. Pretty solid. Didn't miss Giga Zip, that's cool. But yeah, that's the game. Best game of all time, the GOAT with the sauce. Devil May Cry is awesome. I know that people don't necessarily associate Devil May Cry with speedrunning, but we have a really awesome community. It's getting bigger and bigger all the time, and we have a lot of really cool resources and run some cool events that you should check out, participate in potentially. But yeah, thanks for having me. I don't know if you want to talk about some more stuff. Or...
Where can people find you, waifu?
Oh yeah, me. Again, it's my birthday, so if you want to do me a favor for my birthday, maybe throw me a follow at waifu on Twitch. I stream full time. It's been my job for like 5 years, 6 years now almost. I also make YouTube content. I make video essays about stuff like Devil May Cry, speedrunning, and also Halo speedrunning and Left 4 Dead and that sort of fun stuff. You can find me on YouTube at Waifu Runs or Waifu Runs TV. I have 3 YouTube channels. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you had fun. Go speedrun. Speedrunning isn't as hard as you make it out to be. It's all in your head. If you think you're not good enough to do it, you're right, but that's only because you have that mindset, and you can change that at any time. You can just decide, look, I'm not going to be great at it right away, but that's okay, and then just go do it and have fun with it. I strongly recommend that you do. I think that speedrunning can not only just be a fun hobby, but it can be emblematic for life as a whole, and showing you that you can push yourself to be better than you thought you could in all aspects of life. I've definitely found that for me, speedrunning is a way to constantly reaffirm to myself that that's the case. And I love that about it. So I hope that you can get something like that out of it too.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I couldn't have asked for a better first run for this show and for a more inspirational way to end things. We'll let you get on with your evening. Please enjoy the rest of your birthday. Get yourself some cake or something.
Thank you. And thank you again to GDQ for starting it all off and making speedrunning what it is. And thank you to Teachery for having me on for your show. I hope it goes well. I hope you guys have a fun time with the next run. And thanks again.
What an ordeal.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Out of the Box. My name is Atitri, and we're just about to unpack another awesome speed run with another world record holder. But just before that, a little bit of housekeeping. We have a lot of events coming up with Games Done Quick. GDQ will be live at PAX East from May 8th to 11th, and submissions are now open until March 23rd. So visit submissions.gamesdonequick.com to submit your runs and potentially be provided with an event badge if you're an accepted runner. Submissions.gamesdonequick.com is also the place to go to submit runs to Summer Games Done Quick 2025, which will be live in Minneapolis from July 6th to 13th. If you'd like to volunteer or run at the event, submit your applications by March 31st, which you can do at gamesdonequick.com, or register to attend the event by May 26th. Use !SGDQ in Twitch chat or visit the website for more information. And now it's time to strap on your flash liquidized ultra dowsing devices and let's take an edutaining vacation to Isle Delfino with JJSRL and Super Mario Sunshine any percent plus a glitch showcase. JJ, let's go.
All right, hello. My name is JJSRL. Thank you for that amazing intro. Yeah, this is Super Mario Sunshine. We're just gonna be playing through the game start to finish. Very simple, very straightforward. And afterwards, if y'all stick around, I'll try and show off some of the glitches, maybe teach a couple of things, so people who are interested in Sunshine, wanting to get into the speedrunning this game, will be able to learn just a couple of things to be able to show off to their friends. But I guess as of right now, we can start counting down from 3, 2, 1, go. Now, the best part about Sunshine is all of the cutscenes, which, as of 2019, we have been allowed to skip, but before then, we weren't able to skip them. We had to watch them every single time.
True, but it's a good time to have conversations like this to talk about your history with the run if you wanted, or to get to engage with your community. But
yeah, I started speedrunning this game back in 2015.
Nice.
Which, if you look at me now, I would say I feel like I'm kind of young. So I started back when I was 13.
Awesome.
So it's been a really fun experience throughout. I watched SGDQ 2013 actually, Tofu 31. I watched his speedrun the Sunshine 90%, and I was like, that looks fun, I want to do that. That's like the classic how everyone has seen it, but I genuinely thought I could do it, so I started doing it, and the first run I submitted to the leaderboard got rejected because it was too good, essentially.
Interesting.
It was saying, like, the time I submitted, they couldn't find evidence of like me playing the game other than this, and they didn't believe that this was my first run. So when that happened, I told myself like, okay, I'm gonna get really good at this game. And I just grinded away.
Oh, that's funny. And as I understand, you actually came back to it recently after some time away. Is that right?
Yeah, I took a lot of time, like, on and off, mostly from burnout, mostly from school.
Sure.
But I feel like I can always come back to this game. I grinded a ton, and it's really fun. But yeah, as of recently, I came back to like grinding it a ton because I was on spring break. Nice. So I'm like, okay, during this week, I'm just gonna grind as much as I can. And I did end up retaking the world record. There's a fun little rivalry going on right now between me and another runner named Inkstar. Shouts to Inkstar. He is insanely good at this game.
Go on. Tell them what the difference in record timing or PB timing is right now.
Inkstar has a PB of 1:12:50, and my current PB and world record is 1:12:49.
Literally 1 second.
Oh, about a second. Basically 1 second, yeah. Which is, it's kind of funny because Inkstar held the record with 1:12:50 or 1:12:51 for a very long time, like for months. And he kept grinding to beat it. I took a break, and he finally beat it again by 1 second, and I sniped it by a second afterwards. But if you just look at the leaderboard, you'll just see that I beat him the next day, and that's it. It doesn't say that he held a record for months before
the funny
that.
part is the date on both of them. I'm actually looking at the SRL board right now. It shows 16 days ago for both of them. And Inkstar's comment is just 1 second. So without you telling me the story, I didn't know if the context was him mentioning that he's 1 second behind you or that it was a 1 second improvement.
Oh, yeah. So it's very funny. Right before that, there was a huge race between me, Inkstar, and Tobo for the first 1 hour and 12-minute time, which was a very exciting moment because Sunshine hasn't really had a huge amount of popularity, at least as of recently. But during that time when we all realized we were so close to 112, we were all grinding for it. I held the world record with a 113.08 for a very long time. And Inkstar and Tobo were always right behind me. And Tobo was actually the first one to be able to beat it, which is crazy because Tobo's been running this game since like 2012. So he's been one of the oldest runners, and he basically finished out his story of Sunshine any percent speedrunning by getting the first ever 1 hour 12 minute, which is potentially the last minute barrier, but 111 still on the table because we said 113 was the last minute barrier. We always say that the last minute barrier is the last minute barrier.
The community's always staying hungry. I respect it.
Yeah. We always try and grind a bit more, but it's one of those points where we genuinely feel like we're getting at a limit because we are minimizing our mistakes by so much.
Sure.
Nothing has really been improved per se. We're just making less mistakes, which is, again, it's very impressive. But you look at both of the world records, they barely have mistakes.
Yeah, you hear people talk about this game, even just the way the chat was describing it as the run started, as you were doing your introduction, and it's like, this game is great. It's also terrifying to try to play. You know, there's a lot of kind of intimidation towards, like, you know, even doing the movement techniques and stuff is generally something that people consider difficult talking about their casual play, much less figuring out how to string it all together for more than an hour into a run like this.
Yeah, Sunshine has very interesting movement and that it's so fluid that, like, anything can go differently. You compare it with, like, 64, for example. When you look at, like, SM64 tutorials or speedruns, it's always holding notch angles, like this very specific camera, because you press C right once or C left twice, and that fixes your camera perfectly. With this, everything just flows, so your movement has to be... You have to focus on your movement being more precise rather than the game lining it up for you.
I get that. Honestly, I kind of like the idea of, like, I run a lot of games that are roguelikes or that are beat 'em ups, or in one case a beat 'em up, but it's also a roguelike. So it's, you know, there's so much more of it that relies on you being able to adjust to changing circumstances or to kind of feel things out more so than necessarily locking in a certain, like, angle or setting up the controller in a certain way.
Yeah. All right, now the run's actually started now after a ton of cutscenes.
Time to get to the good stuff.
Right out of the gate, I just did a little bit of movement. It's called scumbag movement, which is the normal way of movement was you would go around, like, the tower, and the scumbag movement was basically... If you did that movement, you were a scumbag, because there was no reason to do it back in the day when people found that movement. It was like 0.2 faster, maybe 0.1 because people weren't even as optimized, and people were like, there's no reason for you to do it, but people who were first time playing the game tried to do it, and people were making fun of other people for it. The community is welcoming, by the way, very welcoming, but back in 2016, 2015, it was a very different time.
There. But no, I mean, these days we just call that, like, swag or style points. So
yeah,
certainly things have come a long way.
So now we get to the main, like, gimmick of Sunshine, which is Shadow Mario. I'm gonna go for a quick kill. I do get it. So how Shadow Mario works is he has a health bar, and you want to spray him down as much as possible. But with what these are called spam sprays, when you press R and A at the same time, if all of those droplets of water hit Shadow Mario at once, his health bar just drains to 0 because he's getting hit with water all at the same time. But a very simple way to just take down Shadow Mario is trying to keep your distance and just keeping a light spray on him. That's like the simplest way to do it and how everyone should do it. But stuff like that are just parts of the movement optimizations that have been found over time.
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to bring a shotgun in terms of, you know, if you hit with every pellet in terms of damage done.
Yeah, exactly. The main form of Sunshine movement is like these water slides, where if you slide along water, you can slide infinitely and go along max speed. There I just did some windmill wall kicks, which is like basically skipping, going all the way around up the windmill. We are very good at naming things. Either we make fun of it or we just say what it is.
Those are the two styles of naming conventions in speedrunning tricks. It's either a literal description of what happened or it's something related to like a joke that was made in the community at the time the trick was found. Absolutely.
It's like one of my favorite things, like in Odyssey. Like I heard the story of like in Sand Kingdom, Dram found it, didn't want it to be named after him, and then they called it Dram Skip.
Exactly.
Or Dram Strat. And now we get to the first boss. Mario games love their 3s, so you have to do this 3 times. But essentially what I'm doing is I am backflipping and I am spam spraying as much as I can into PD's mouth. There's another way that you can do this as well that isn't really strict as timing, where if you just look up at him and then spray a bunch. But there are a lot of different ways that you can kill PD very fast. Spam spray is just a very broken tool in this game.
Would you say that actually like doing it generally is fairly easy to do? It's just learning when and how to use it that's the more complex part?
It's a difficult thing to pick up on because it's a very uncomfortable thing to do.
I see.
Like, you're basically pressing R and A at the same time, but you want to do it as many times while you're jumping. I think that's the common thing that people get mixed up, is like if they're on the ground, they try and do it, they'll just backflip. But in the air, they're free to do it as many times as they want.
Got it. So you've got to lead it off with a hop or use it in midair already, something like that.
Yeah. Right here, actually, I ended up failing, unfortunately, but one of many movement optimizations that we find, just in general, often save like half a second, if even, but right there, I could have done just a single water slide throughout without having to do a rollout. And those are the types of things that we are finding at this point. There's no more big skips or big time saves. We find things that save half a second and we glorify them.
How long has the current route for record level attempts existed?
The current route has existed since like 2013. Okay. It's for any percent at least, the route is very simple. Now, if you get to 120 shines, now you're talking about like pages of Google spreadsheets of different
you're
routing.
Naming every split after what you need to do next so you remember.
Yeah. There's so many different routes that we're working on finding the fastest route, but the fastest route is so arbitrary that like there are at least like 15 plus routes that are within 2 seconds of difference with each other. So you can choose really any route you want. So here I'm going to be doing travel skip, which is I'm going to be killing this plant that we fought many times before. But as I kill this plant and before the cutscene starts, I'm going to go back and enter Bianco. Hence the name travel skip, because it's skipping travel. Because after this cutscene, you would have spawned back in front of Rico Harbor and had to travel all the way back. But we don't have to do that, and that saves like 7 to 8 seconds. That's found out by someone, I think Honey found that back in like 2011, during the era of discovering things, as what Average Trey coined it as.
So we'll workshop it. Y'all might need a marketing expert to help zhuzh it up a little bit. But it's a very honest
like,
game, and I respect that.
Yeah, because like back when speedrunning really was getting started, I was definitely part of that. I was 10, but they were just discovering so many different things, and it's like, okay, wow, this game is way more broken than we thought it was, and it will make the speedrun a lot more interesting. So it seemed very boring to begin with. The Sunshine speedrun did not seem that exciting. It seemed like way too many cutscenes, way too slow, nothing all that exciting, until we found out, okay, we can actually break this game open and do a couple things.
Yeah, you can play it at your pace rather than the game's pace.
Yeah. But coming up is one of the reasons why a lot of people are scared away from Sunshine, which is the amount of luck that is in this game. So we're going to be fighting PD again, and PD is going to fly all over the map, and there's about 760 different patterns that PD can take. I actually did my AP statistics final on this boss.
That's fantastic.
Just like seeing the different possibilities. But he can really go in all different ways, and along with him taking completely random routes, he can also randomly throw a tornado if he wants to. In any percent, this fight is very boring, but when 20 shines, is like one of the most important shines, because you are collecting blue coins whenever PD is flying. Like, you're collecting this one, you're getting these, you're just always moving, reacting to where PD is going, and getting different blue coins depending on where PD ends up going. So I got lucky there, and I got no tornadoes, and the first best spot. The ideal PD pattern is he just goes in a straight line all the way down to the end. You want to knock him down 3 times, but he could go over the wall, he could fly all over the village, you have no idea. He's going over the wall, so we're set. But during this time, I'm gonna get a very safety 1-up, because always rather be safe. And PD's going way over there, so we're gonna find him. And this is him throwing a tornado. It's a random chance and it loses like 2 to 3 seconds. Which is like, it's such a weird thing to think about, especially at this high level of like world record speedrunning. You can just randomly lose 9 seconds because PD threw 3 tornadoes.
Sure.
And it's like something you don't even think about. It's like, my pattern was good, but I lost 9 seconds anyways. Now, this is a pretty good pattern overall. I got 1 tornado and a fairly good pattern, so I'm very happy with this exit. But the nice thing about Sunshine, and at least like 64, in a lot of these games, the stars spawn, or the shine spawns in the same spot. So just remember where the spots are. Here, I just line up with 2 shadows and I stand in between it. But that is it for Bianco Hills for now. The objective of this game, I probably should have said that way earlier, is to beat Shadow Mario in every single world. That is to beat the episode 7. So we just beat episode 5 and we're leaving. Which seems weird because, like, okay, now that means we have to go back eventually. But because we got 5 shines, we unlocked Gelato Beach, which played a 3-second cutscene. And that 3-second cutscene will keep playing every time we leave the stage until we unlock Gelato Beach. And this is just the concept of event cutscenes as a whole, where we're trying to minimize them as much as possible. So whenever something spawns, ideally we want to be there as soon as possible.
The game just wants you to know that something cool happened, you know? If it has to tell you more than once.
Exactly. The lighthouse has fallen to the floor, like, something crazy is going on over there. You probably should check it out. But we fixed it and the lighthouse is rising back up. So now we're going to Gelato Beach. And note what I said that we need to beat the episode 7 of every world. This is one of the most infamous, notorious skips in speedrunning.
It has a history.
Which is Gelato Beach skip. Normally, you had to do all of Gelato Beach. Gelato 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and everyone hated Gelato Beach. It was either RNG or a completely boring auto-scroller. There was nothing exciting about it. We'll focus here. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. I'm trying to clip into the roof here. There we go. Every single stage was an auto-scroller, and it was horrible. But we found out, actually, from Toval, who was a Spyro glitch hunter. So he just came in and looked at it because he heard rumors that there's something here, but we couldn't figure it out. So Toval came in, figured it out, and this is actually the 8th episode. So all we have to do is just go back to episode 7, and we're done with Gelato Beach. We don't have to do anything else. Because when you complete a further episode, it unlocks all the episodes that come before it.
Yep, you just take advantage of the fact that developers assume that if you got there, you have to have done everything previously.
Exactly.
Does the auto skip work the same on all versions of the game?
Yes, it works on all versions of the game. Once we go into the glitch showcase, I'll try and go to like a very easy setup that people can do if they really want to try and learn it. But now we're going to be doing Pianta early, which has changed a lot. I'm going to be doing something called Feck Entry, which is you can wall kick off of that invisible wall twice and make it all the way up here. The original way to do it was you would go to the Shine Gate and then spin jump around the Shine Gate and try and wall kick off of it. But recently, a player named Fetch found
Yeah, no, that's just hanging out there.
The invisible walls. Yeah, the invisible wall exists, and we can just climb it even higher and go even higher off of it.
Doing certain things probably, but instead it lets you do other faster things.
Now, there's a little setup here that if you aim directly for this tree, he will go into the water. I got pretty good RNG overall. The chomplets could go in all different patterns, and it's all about reacting to where the chomplets are and do a different pattern. So each chomplet could go 3 different ways. The benefit recently is we have practice codes, and the practice codes have existed for a while, but one new addition, and I say new, it was like 4 years ago or something, but the newest addition was that you can program which way the chomplets go, so you can practice every single pattern. Cool. Yeah. You can just practice every single one so you know exactly what to do. Because back in the day, we would just run through them and hoping that we get the specific RNG just so we can practice it. But now we're racing Piantissimo. I'm going to look at the sign and just talk to it. Okay, we're good. I wish I knew who found this, and I should have done my research, but it was about 1.5 years ago. Noki Doki found that if you would talk to that sign and then talk to Piantissimo at a very specific angle, you'll see the text appears really fast, like almost instantly. And that saves around 0.7. And we faced Piantissimo twice, so that's like a 1.5 second time save that we were going crazy over because it just was so simple and it came out of nowhere. And we're like, wait, we can just do that?
Sure, and that's how you break minute barriers in, you know, well-optimized, well-practiced games.
If I didn't do that sign trick, I didn't have the world record. But now we're going to like one of the most popular stages in this game, in my opinion, which is you are in Pianta Village, the entire spot is covered in fire, and we have no flood, so we have to go all the way around, or we can just go right through it. I buffed a little bit, but we're fine. Ah! We are fine.
All good. This runner is a professional.
We're all good. Now, not to sound elitist, but it is the truth. 99% of all people who will get into that situation will die.
Sure.
Because the reason why I'm saying that is controlling yourself in the lava is very weird and precise. That if you hold any direction, Mario will move forward. If you don't hold anything, Mario just flips 180 and turns around. So you have to keep track of those things when you're moving. So you want to move forward, but just a little bit so you can make it onto that platform. But if you hold forward too early, then you'll go too far. If you don't, you'll turn around. There's so many small little things with this lava that so many people just die from that it is savable as shown there. It's just very weird.
Consider that advanced tech for sure.
Yeah, but the main thing I was trying to show off there is just a level of damage boosting where if you get hit by that wind, Mario can just ride all over the lava and easily make it across. I was trying to go for a very technical, like, spin jump onto that mushroom, but I was a bit too far away. Oh, come back! We'll bring him back. Now coming up is another pretty heavy RNG stage, which is Pianta 5. It's actually become less RNG as of recently, because early cycle was this very common thing of you hope you get lucky, you hope he's standing there waiting for you, and you save 25 seconds. We found out if you play literally perfectly, you can make every cycle can be early cycle. Essentially. But it's hard to be perfectly. But we can go fast enough where we at least increase our odds pretty well to like around 80%, where it used to be around a 25 to 30% chance. Before we even get there though, we're doing a trick called Yoshi skip. We skip using Yoshi. You're noticing a pattern here.
Truly a rite of passage in any Mario game is to not use Yoshi.
Exactly. Now I'm trying to grab this ledge at a very specific spot without falling off and dying. And you were able to just clip through the tree and clip into the loading zone, because that yellow stuff on top could only be cleared by Yoshi.
Everyone say
I
hi
hope I get early cycle. Talk to me. I'm probably not gonna get... This is where I'm hoping for like the 20% chance that he actually just stopped and waited. He did not. So I'm doing things here called wrap bounces, where the structure has a random chance to stop at any of these corners. But if you jump on his head beforehand, ideally, he will just skip the corner. So it's sort of like you're sacrificing a bit of time for him to stop, so he doesn't stop for even longer. So you can play a gamble of like, okay, I'm not gonna stop him for a second and hope that he just goes right across.
A certain amount of control over things.
Yeah. Or I can stop him, or I can just pray that he won't stop for like 10 seconds. And now we're doing Pianta 6, which is the most competitive individual level in this game. And people just fell in love with this level. Shouts to Average Trey. Watch his video. He made an entire video just on this level, on how competitive it is and how people found out strats to reduce the time. But the objective is just to clean 10 Piantas who are stuck in goop as fast as possible. And it's all about unlocking them early, because once you unlock them, they have to take a little bit of time to get ready to clean. Like here, I'm like spraying all the way across, so it unlocks them early, so it gives them a little bit of time to start getting ready. And I'm essentially spraying them on the first frame that they're available to get cleaned. And that's all 10. So that was a 216. felt very good. The world record for this is actually a 220.
Wow.
So we can go 4 seconds faster than that. Shouts to Fetch. Fetch is insanely fast. My personal best is a 219.2. Which is like the third fastest.
I feel like the difference between what you just did now and that is probably just imperceptible to most people. Like you were genuinely hitting on
it is just
you were hitting as they were drawing in so many different cases.
The main difference is that there's around like a second, like a 0.8 to a second time save at the very beginning that you can unlock the first 3 guys faster, but it's reliant on your spam spray look. Because when you do the spam sprays, the water droplets are just essentially random. Oh, I'm going wrong nozzle. Come on. That was a minor mistake. That's normally happens, but I'll take this time to talk about the next skip that's coming up, which is Honey Skip. Found by Honey. The entirety of this skip is to die on the same frame that you enter this cutscene, and it skips a cutscene. This is the only cutscene that this works for, surprisingly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like at a certain point you don't ask questions, you just do the trick.
Yeah. you just do it and you accept it. That's weird, because you die on the same frame you enter the cutscene, and you'd think it's a frame perfect trick. But it's fairly lenient. Like, it's fairly lenient as to when you die, but it is a frame perfect trick. It's so hard to explain. But coming up is another very weird situation with these 2 pinna cutscenes, where if you leave the level when you enter the cutscene, it skips that cutscene, but if you try and do that for any other cutscene, it just resets the game.
All right. Probably what's
It's
supposed
just
to happen there, but for whatever reason it doesn't.
Yeah. I think there is explanation for it, but I leave that to like the Sunshine scientists.
El Delfino's finest scientists have been mining its secrets for what, almost 15 years now. Even just in speedrunning alone.
And now we're fighting Mecha Bowser. We love Mario's favorite number, which is... People are gonna say 3. It's not 3, it's 4. So that's Mario's new favorite number. So we hit him 4 times, and then there's another like 5-minute cutscene or 3-minute cutscene that plays, but we can skip that one as well by exiting area. So it skips both of them. And those cutscene skips are very simple for anyone to do. If they want to try it, just water slide into the first cutscene and leave the game, and it skips that super long cutscene. After you fight Mecha Bowser, just wait for the explosions to appear and exit area, and you save 5 minutes on the speedrun. So there's a lot of really big time saves that really anyone can do.
No, for sure. I feel like that's one of the things that gets people into running a lot is like getting one of those tricks, whether it's because they've seen it somewhere or, you know, they heard just how much time it saves, especially if it's one of the really approachable ones like you explained or like you're going to show us later with Gelato Skip and how relatively easy that can be with a consistent setup.
Yeah, with a relatively consistent setup, it still takes a lot of time to learn, and there's many different tutorials that exist online. But I usually try and give my setup for the trick because it eliminates any chance of like, are you in the wrong position? Do you have the wrong angle? You always have those right things, so the only thing that you have to focus on is your hover timing. You don't need to worry if anything else is incorrect. And I think that's a very important thing to have when learning tricks, is eliminating all sources, like all possible sources of error, so you can really hone in on like one thing. But now we're coming up on one of my favorite stages, which is Pinna 3, the red coins on the ship. It is a very technical shine that the route of Pinna 3 has changed many times over the years. We're doing a route now that's called Pass Route, mostly because it was done in the task and we realized, oh wait, we can just do this and it's faster.
Passers is another,
like we did normally for
passers are another integral part of a lively speedrunning community. You know, the ability of games that get passed to really just be pushed and prodded at from every angle and say like, hey, what if I did this thing very slightly different on this specific frame? And it's always cool when a task trick turns out to be RTA viable.
Now at the very end, I'm going to try and grab the coin and then clip through the grating so I can land on top. Just like that.
Nice.
So, not a small little time save, but this stage is just so much fun to play through. And it's all cycle based, and you end up just going faster and faster. You're learning new cycles, and once you get faster, you can change up the strats. This stage feels like it just increases in levels. Like once you feel like you're getting faster, you like upgrade to a completely different route. So that's what makes it so much fun. But coming up is a very big trick, and I'm going to use this shine to start explaining it. It's called Early Yoshi Go Round. And way back in 2015, practice codes were like finally invented. And the main thing that came from the practice codes was position loading, where like you can save a position and then load it back later. So someone wanted to experiment. These group of the top Sunshine runners at the time, called the Good People, they experimented if they went to the Yoshi Go Round in episode 6, saved a position, then went to a completely different episode and loaded that position, would you still be able to enter the loading zone for the secret? And turns out you could. And at that point, people were like, okay, we know this is possible. How do we get there? Well, people found out that when Yoshi sprays enemies, they turn into platforms. When you are a purple Yoshi and you spray an enemy, it turns into a moving platform that can move through like the barriers put in by the game, like the invisible barriers or whatever. So if you're standing on that platform and the Yoshi's platform is going through that barrier, you can take yourselves all the way to the Yoshi Go Round. It is one of the most crazy discoveries I've seen, especially when I was there watching it happen. Right when I was learning the game, I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. It has changed now, because back then we used to use bullet bills, and we had to be very lucky. Don't launch. Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna get this papaya. Yoshi needs to be orange, specifically, to enter the Yoshi Go Round. So we get this papaya into the loading zone to make sure Yoshi turns orange. We bring this stew over, line it up for the Yoshi Go Round, re-grab the papaya we just threw, turn Yoshi orange, and now we ride Yoshi on this invisible platform, or on the platform through the invisible barriers, all the way to the Yoshi Go Round. And this skips needing to do Pinna Park episode 5, which saves about, I would say, like a minute and a half. So it only skips one shine, and people would ask, well, if the park is always there, why can't you do it earlier? That's because, I'm gonna do a little swag shot right here, but that's because Yoshi is only available after Pinna 4.
Nice.
So after you complete Pinna 4, then Yoshi's available, then we can do this whole trick. So we can't do it any earlier, unfortunately. But at least we're able to skip one shine from it. Now I tried it in the secret, it's just a little swag strat. It's called the Yamata strat because he was the one who always did it back in the day. So shouts to Yamata. It's slower, but it's really fun to just show off for fun.
No, for sure. the clear mastery that it shows that you have over being able to do that with like camera largely obscured during that is very impressive.
Now, this shot of Mario is a little bit different, in that he has, I would say, over like an extra 50% HP. So he has like almost double health. But like I said, the very first one, if you spam spray him a bunch, that health just drains to 0 and he dies instantly.
Doesn't make a difference when you're swinging with the shotty, huh?
Yeah, exactly. When you have a shotgun and you're really close to someone, it doesn't matter how much health they have. It's still a shotgun. So now I'm going to show off one of the new elements of movement that was found back in 2017 called, or it was coined the Beyblade.
All right, I'm ready to let it. Oh, yep. Here we go. Letting it rip.
So how Beyblades work is if you try and set up a spin jump and then you start spraying, Mario will just stay spinning for around like 2 seconds. If you slide off a very steep slope, you gain a ton of speed. And usually Mario butt slides with that insane amount of speed, so he won't be able to do anything with it. But because we are in this animation of spinning, we can pull off a spin jump, hold on to that insane amount of speed, and carry it really, really far.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see momentum preservation show up at some point during this run.
Yeah. So I'm gonna show off a new trick that's been found recently. It saves only like less than a second, but it skips blooper needing to spray goop the second time. So I'm gonna pull onto this tentacle, I'm gonna let go, and he just jumps in the air compared to spraying in a circle. And just him not having to spray all around the circle because he's like so stunned that we pulled off one of his tentacles at such a wrong time.
Yeah, it looks extremely simple, but the fact I could totally understand why that would go missed for years and years.
Yeah. The main concept of it is that jump throw that I did, where if you jump then throw, you can start moving a lot earlier compared to just letting go of it. Because when Mario lets go of something, he sits on the ground for a while. But if he jumps and throws it, as soon as he lands, he can start moving.
Got it. So that's going to be one of your more fundamental techniques when it comes to interacting with enemies, other objects. Yeah.
Alright, so now to Rico 2, which is all about using bloopers, and we're not gonna use a single blooper.
Why would you?
We don't want to endanger them. We don't want to endanger them. We want them to be safe. We want them to feel happy, because as soon as we use them, they die. Which is a very morbid truth, but like they just disappear. So we're gonna leave them safe. We're just gonna go this way, because we found out that this race only has 2 checkpoints.
Perfect.
There is a single checkpoint at this corner.
And then we're just going to double back and head for the other one.
Yeah, and there's another checkpoint right at this corner, and we just go straight for the finish line. And that's the whole race. And the bloopers all went home. They didn't die. They went home safely.
Yes, they despawned to a nature preserve upstate.
Exactly.
That's how I play Mario Kart too. I just miss the skips every time is the problem. So I'm actually very slow at it, but yeah.
Next up is a very fun shine casually. The Cage Shine sprite, which involves Mario going through this crazy vertical obstacle course, making his way all the way to the top, and then jumping through the bottom. But there's a little opening at the bottom that you see that we can just kind of jump into. I'm gonna do another one of those Beyblades here off of this. Never mind. That's what happens when you don't Beyblade, which is Mario will butt slide off and he can't jump off of it. So I want to try and throw myself onto there. I grabbed my first blue coin. Oh! I fell. I'm gonna take the time to do its fun backup. That almost never is shown off. But you can actually make it up here by doing a triple jump here. I'm gonna try and do it. If I can, that'd be awesome.
Yo.
Nice.
Nice going, gamer.
That usually the backup that you do when you move a bit too, when you're too low. But because I was too high, I'm like, I'm just gonna go over here anyways.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, that's kind of the adaptability that you get from being a veteran runner.
Alright, I'm moving on to probably, like, if I had to be negative about myself, this is probably my worst shine in the game.
Okay.
The shine is a very technical shine about dives and rollouts, and I don't have really that timing where, like, every single one of my dives and rollouts are perfect. So I'm always timing myself going slightly slower than everyone else on the shine. Like, at least when it comes to the other top runners. But this whole shine is on a cycle. We're trying to make this fast cycle at the end.
Solid.
Nice.
Very nicely done. Game heard you talking bad about yourself and was like, no, you've got it this time.
Well, I feel comfortable on it. It also is a very common spot to die, but I always just find myself just losing time in general. Like there, I probably lost around 2 seconds to the fastest. Okay. Which it doesn't even look like it, but I just mentally keep track of that in my head of like, wow, I definitely could have gone faster.
It's something you get a feel for.
But that's just a speedrunner mindset, yeah. Alright, so now find another blooper. And that spam spread there is very lucky in terms of the water droplet's hopefully hitting the center of the blooper, that he will try and attack me earlier so I can spray him sooner.
Yep, there's the spin that we were talking about.
Yeah, that's the spin that we skipped in the first one. And now I switched to the hover nozzle when I was pulling the blooper's tail. So all I'm doing is holding hover, and as soon as I hear my controller vibrate, then I know I just have to dive and roll out. So it's a nice little like visual cue / like mental cue. Unfortunately though, we have to use one blooper, just one, in the whole run. I can't save them all. Unless I wanted to lose like 45 seconds. But this is collecting all the red coins across the water, so using the blooper is just faster, because when you move across water, you need something. So we're gonna be using the green blooper. The green blooper has the best turning, and if you just hold up, every single blooper has the fastest top speed. When you're playing this game casually, you may have thought, oh my god, the pink blooper was the fastest because it goes top speed no matter what. But if you just hold up, it always goes top speed.
This one neat trick they didn't want you to know about.
Exactly. The safer blooper is actually what people think is the slowest. So if you grab the shine, the blooper actually goes really close to the sun and dies. But I'm gonna go on top of the umbrella and save it. So it goes home. When you touch the umbrella, it goes home. When you touch the shine, it dies. That's what I tell myself. So jumping onto the umbrella saves it. And people didn't really know that if you jump up to the umbrella, Mario is like able to move again. Because especially casually, when you're on that blooper, it feels like you cannot get off of that blooper no matter what. Now I'm going to go for a quick look here called the drive-by. Where we sort of just Y-turn, slide by him, and as soon as he starts moving, you do a roll out. And that's it for Rico Harbor. So now we only did 5 shines of Bianco Hills. We're going to be finally going back to Bianco Hills, the first world of the game.
I mean, also kind of a staple of Mario games is doing things out of order. The game doesn't make you.
True.
You'll be back.
Yeah, Pianta Village is supposed to be the final level, but because we did that weird trick to get up there much earlier, we're doing it very early on. But what usually it's supposed to be is like after you complete Noki Bay, you can get the rocket nozzle and then rocket all the way up to Pianta Village. I'm gonna be going for something called One Slide here. I unfortunately didn't get it. But there's a way that you can keep that water slide going all the way across this bridge, all the way to the other side, if you just have a really crazy angle.
I imagine it feels as good to hit as it looks on stream.
Oh, it feels amazing to hit that one slide. Like when you know it, you're like, okay, this is gonna be a good split. So these cubes only start moving as soon as Mario stops. So the fastest way to get Mario to completely stop is to just go neutral and press the B button. And Mario tries to do like this fake dive. And it just gets the cube moving faster. I'm gonna do a glitchy wall kick here, which wall kicks forward essentially.
Yeah, that's definitely how physics work.
If you press Y right before you jump against the wall, Mario goes into first person while jumping off of the wall, so he keeps looking forward.
So that's what that camera manipulation has been about. I see.
Yeah. All right, we're doing our next shot of Mario here, and then we only have 2 worlds left after this, so we're almost done. I'm gonna try to do another slow click hill here by just sliding and then spraying as soon as I roll out. And just all the water hits Chao Mario at once, and he just dies instantly.
I'm just imagining being a villain, like starting my evil plan, getting ready to run away and be a complete menace, and then I see the hero sliding in on his tummy with his water gun out. What a way to go.
Alright, so I'm gonna do what's called the Toad setup here. Where you run against this Toad, spam spray the banana, and then do a rollout, and you're able to do all of those things. So the banana falls, Shadow Mario dies, and you're right in front of the banana. So we can get Yoshi, because Yoshi always wants a banana, and we're able to enter Serena. Now for Inkstar, me, Tobo, any top runner, Serena... I was gonna say Serena Village. Serena Beach is the worst stage.
Okay. What's that?
The amount of luck that is involved in Serena, there is so much luck in Serena 1. Serena 5 is just a literal slot machine that you're just hoping that you get lucky. And the amount of runs that have been lost by all of us to Serena 5 because we just didn't get lucky. It's difficult.
Sure.
But Manta's interesting, because the Mantas can split off in different ways, so people are gonna be like, oh, that's luck. But the amount of skill that comes from knowing how to deal with the luck is very interesting and very different.
Yeah, this absolutely seems like the kind of fight you could just do over and over and over again and genuinely see yourself getting better at.
How I see it is I see myself getting more insane when
There's an element of that too, yes. The two things go hand in hand sometimes.
Yeah. The goal of the Manta fight is to turn the Mantas pink as soon as possible, because as soon as the Mantas turn pink, then they will all start attacking you. So they all start going towards you rather than going in any random direction.
I see. And is there a particular threshold, or is it just hitting them with any water?
any drop of water hits them and clears it. So the goal is to use just as many spam sprays, hit as many of the mantas as possible. Unfortunately, that was a horrible manta. In terms of, it took a very long time for the manta to turn pink. So by the time they turned pink, the mantas were all over the place.
Sure.
The ideal situation is you are spam spraying right out of the gate, they turn pink instantly, and you clear them so fast.
Yeah, chat mentioning something that I recall having heard of before, but I'm sure you can shed more light on it. Asking if that was the shine with invisible paint, where they actually had to lower the value of how much you had to clear across different versions of the game.
That is Serena 6, and there's a lot of different misconceptions on how Serena 6 actually works. Some people always said, like, oh, you have to clear more goop on the Japanese version. Like, it's so much more strict. The difference is the actual goop particles is the same requirement across all versions. But the difference is that the goop particles are much smaller on the Japanese version and can be invisible. So you could just be missing a lot of goop that's invisible, but it's the same requirement across all versions. So on the English version, it may seem a lot simpler and that's a lower requirement because the particles are bigger, which means it clears a lot easier. Alright, so I'm gonna try to do a very difficult momentum spin here. So we're skipping that whole section, getting onto the sand pyramid, etc.
Very, very well done.
Alright, coming up next is Serena 3, where the objective of Serena 3 is we find out that the pool is closed in this hotel. We can't get to the pool, and Nishan is sitting in front of us in the pool. So we need to get in through the attic. The only way we can get through the attic is if we have Yoshi to clear the booze in the attic. Yoshi wants a pineapple. I'm gonna take a little second here and show that there is no pineapples anywhere. You need to find the pineapple somewhere in this hotel and give it to Yoshi, clear everything else, and then enter through the top. Or you can just flip right into it and grab the shot.
Good. Yeah.
Either one works.
I wasn't looking forward to going and finding a pineapple in a hotel. Not something that gets asked of people very often, I would say.
Yeah, you have to like invade everyone's rooms, invade their privacy. It's like, it's very uncomfortable. Yeah, it's a whole thing you really have to do.
So what was the history and how is the setup figured out for that clip?
It was found by someone named Your Boy Graham, actually. The initial setup is you place the banana down and then you jumped behind it and you went into the other room and you were able to go under the ground into it. But people just found out if you backflip and threw the banana, you could just clip through the ceiling of it. It's a very, very simple trick that's so cool to show off. Like, that's gonna be one of the ones I'm gonna be teaching later. And if someone asks me like, hey, I want to learn this game, what shine should I learn? I always say Serena 3 because it's a fun shine to optimize, it's very short, and it has a really cool trick that's very simple. Alright, so now I'm going to be making use of butt slides here, where I can do a spin jump out of a butt slide and just carry the momentum across. I'm going to try to do another one here. I did get it, nice. Now, when I said earlier that when you butt slide, Mario would just slide all the way down, but these platforms are moving, so they're slowly getting more and more flat. So if you time it correctly, you gain all the speed when it's super steep, and then once it gets flat enough, you can jump with that speed and carry the momentum all the way across. But finally, we are getting to King Boo, the slot machine. The part where even if you have a good run, you are praying. Because no run is a run until you get out of King Boo. Funny enough, we have a rule in our Discord, in the Mario Sunshine Discord. You are not allowed to post a pace of a run until it is out of King Boo.
It's not a real run.
You are... It's not a real run and you are cursing it.
Okay.
If you think there is potential going in, like, before King Boo. So we always say, don't post until after King Boo.
Don't say the name of the Scottish play and don't post until after King Boo. Got it.
So that was one extra cycle. Ideally, we want to get fruit, no fruit, fruit, no fruit, and then fruit. So like we're alternating. But right now, I've already lost 15 seconds and I haven't even done anything. So we finally get fruit. Now where the fruit drops is completely random. And we need a pepper. We need a pepper to make King Boo's mouth red hot and then hit him with the face with another fruit. So now we just repeat the cycle. Now we are guaranteed to get just a nothing of a cycle. So we let the cycle play out. This is where people mess up. Let the cycle play out, let the enemies spawn, and then run under it. People always come into the Discord saying, I got 65 extra cycles. How did this happen? Well, you look at the video and you see them canceling when it's not supposed to be fruit anyways. So like, okay, you did not get 65 extra cycles. That's not what happened. You just
punished yourself. Got it. You hear people talk about like RNG stop points, and especially for a run like this, there's clearly still a lot of like manual strategy that needs to be employed. So this honestly still seems like the kind of thing you could practice regularly, doing just this fight to know what you need to do for that run where you get the best RNG.
Oh, for sure. Practicing fruit is super important, and that people like very underestimate. Ingstar could probably speak firsthand to that, where like, I think it was like a couple of years ago, he just sat down and grinded King Boo and just got so much, he understood the shine fully after grinding it for just like a few hours. Understanding how the fruit works, understanding if you just hold B, if a fruit flies into you, Mario will automatically grab it. So rather trying to like dive into the fruit, bonk off of it, if you're just holding B the whole time, if you just run into a fruit, you grab it. Alright, so going into Serena 6 now, this is the goop stage where you want to try and clear as much goop as you can, hope you don't get invisible goop, but you really just want to cover your bases. That's your objective. Just make sure you really get everything. And this is where these spam sprays really come into help. So I'm gonna refill my water once right here. Get all this middle area, so I don't have to worry about afterwards. There you go. It's mostly clean. Alright, we're getting to the second to last shot of Mario. Just him going through the entire hotel. And then we'll be moving on to our final world, Noki Bay, which is a really fun world, and it's so technical. And that's what makes it really exciting, is the luck is gone, essentially. And can you play as technical as possible? And I think that's what's really great about this game. I'm gonna show off a little fun trick here. If you throw a fruit right when it's landing, it just gets frozen in the air.
Yes, well, I already knew
Pretty
this
neat.
hotel was unusual for a couple of reasons. It was hiding a pineapple, we clipped through a ceiling, now the fruit is just floating. That makes sense.
All right, if you ever want to go to the infamous Noki Bay, just gotta look at the sun.
I wouldn't recommend
Please
that.
do not do that.
Thank you.
Please don't do that. But because Mario is in an alternate universe, it's okay.
Flood also provides ocular
Only
protection.
for Mario.
Very advanced piece of
Exactly.
technology.
Oh, I almost messed up. I still made the first cycle? Wow.
What's the cycle based on here when the bombs are getting shot towards you, or where they are relative to what you need to do?
If you are not close to this mole, he will shoot like these scoop balls that we were like seeing as we were making our way up. And he shoots 3 at a time, and that's dependent on the cycle. So when I got up there and I saw that he instantly threw a bomb at me, I knew he wasn't like having a cycle of throwing the goop. Alright, another very technical shine coming up, Noki 2. We are climbing all the way to the top. We're supposed to fight another blooper, actually, which is surprising that we're fighting a blooper here. But we can save the blooper. We don't want to hurt it. We're pacifists. We only hurt his brother and sister.
You've had your fill of violence.
So we're gonna take this spring up here, and with almost any objects, you can sort of just clip through anything with objects. So we're just gonna clip into where the shine is. This was also found in the era of discovering things.
Sure. I think 64 has some similar things where
Yeah.
in the likes of like Hazy Maze Cave, where some areas are just connected by falling at exactly the right location.
Alright, now we have Noki 3, where the old man talks to us and he says, I figured out why the whole place is polluted. It's because there's an eel at the bottom of the ocean, or of this lake, or wherever this body of water is. I've taken geography. But we need to train ourselves by learning how to move underwater. Everything is very different when like we are fully immersed in the water. Our hover nozzle is completely different. And everything involves moving with the Y, with the first person, the Y camera. So people always like try and move and like turn themselves around, but it's really hard if you don't go in first person. But we're finally gonna be able to fight the eel. Now we're able to fight the eel. I'm gonna be going for something called Seven Tooth, which is probably the hardest strat in the entire speedrun.
All right.
And the ideal, what I'm trying to do is spray and clean off 7 of the eel's teeth before he tries to eat me. If I do it too fast, the eel gets upset that I'm spraying one of his outside teeth, which I'm not supposed to do out of order, and he goes down. He just goes to the bottom. If I do it too slow, then he will just try and eat me, and then I can get a 6th tooth. There's about, I would say, less than a second of a window that I have no idea what it is, and I just have to time it in my head and hope. Alright, unfortunately I didn't get there. But I'm gonna back up with the 6 tooth, and then if you damage the tooth, or damage Mario while cleaning off the tooth, it actually skips a cutscene. Because the cutscene's supposed to be playing right now saying like, okay, the eel has been cleaned, good job, and Mario spawns at the very top of the level. But because we skip the cutscene, we don't spawn at the very top, we can just keep moving, so we can land right onto the shine and wait.
Damage strats are for more than just going through enemies, as it turns out.
Exactly. It's a very weird concept. I just don't understand how, like, it could be programmed in that way, where they forget, oh, if he was in a damaged state, this doesn't happen.
Sure. No, a lot of that can come down to like, hey, you know, we checked it in this circumstance, but this one enemy doesn't have that same routine applied to it, or we tested it and we didn't think it was supposed to be possible to get this kind of setup. It could be any number of cases.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're talking to Piantissimo again, so we're going to be doing the sign strat again. We're going to be looking at a sign, talking at it, and then looking at Piantissimo at a very specific angle, and he'll talk to us immediately. My capture card just died. Hello?
So it did.
Oh, I hope I don't lose the race.
No worries.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna pause.
absolutely. You need to do that and take care of things. We'll make sure that we tell people what's going on with Games Done Quick while you do that. And if we need to, we'll take a little tech break. But if you have missed anything on this show, on other Hotfix shows, or at events like Back to Black and Frost Fatales, do check out our VODs at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. They don't always have one of these, but tech issues are somehow inevitable over a long enough span of time. And hey, there are so many more amazing things coming up with Games Done Quick. If you heard earlier, submissions for both PAX and SGDQ are open. Now you can go over to submissions.gamesdonequick.com, and you can also check out the International Transgender Day of Visibility celebration, a weekend highlighting transgender speedrunners on March 29th and 30th. You can also use !trans visibility in Twitch chat for more information. I think we might be back, but I'm going to wait for confirmation on that. All right, and I've got it. The voice in my ear says we are ready to go back to Mario Sunshine. Thanks so much for your patience, everyone.
We're back. We're in the middle of a race where usually it shouldn't be that close of a race, but I have no idea where I am in the race right now. So hopefully I will be fine enough to finish the race. The game decided you
were too powerful and it needed to nerf you a little bit.
But yeah, it should be good in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so I'm not going to do the sign strat. I'm just going to go straight to the finish line. I do have enough time, thankfully. But we're going to sit here and wait. And I'm just going to try and look right at the shine. I remember this setup. I haven't done this in forever. Because this is the old strat where you'll be in first person. So as soon as the shine spawns, Mario turns around. That's not the right way. He's looking at the pole. But ideally, you're looking right at the shine so you can just dive right into it.
That was almost kind of close for a minute there. Almost.
I think my Wii to HDMI overheated. I think that's what happened. Because I unplugged it and it felt fairly warm. So I unplugged it and replugged it and it fixed itself. Alright, so after all of this stress of Noki, we have a very difficult secret coming up. Noki 6. It's at the very end of the run. We have to do difficult ropes movement to get all the way up there. And then once we're here, we have to do a very difficult secret. I'm gonna try and go for the fastest cycle. I'm a little bit on the slow side for the cycle. I'm gonna try and go for it. Oh, I barely made it, but I'm scared.
I might have clenched a little bit, but you absolutely clutched that out. Well done.
Thank you, thank you. I could tell what speed I was going at when I got onto the green peg. I was able to tell where I was at, and I realized it was a bit steeper than what I'm used to. So I'm like, okay, I lost like 0.2 somewhere, so I needed to like make sure I barely went fast enough.
So, putting aside the secret for just a minute, which was amazing, by the by, but even talking about things like the rope movement, is that something where like the practice states that you were describing earlier would be helpful in being able to practice those setups over and over, or how did...
The practice codes in general are very, very useful for a lot of things. I don't think the position codes are useful for that. I think position codes are useful for like when you're learning eel, for example. You can load yourself to the bottom of the eel pit every single time, so you're not having to wait the 30 seconds to go down. But you can reset the level every time. Something like that ropes movement is something that like ideally you should try and practice like in the motion in full, because it's a lot easier doing it in full rather than I'm going to start at this point and try and move to the next one.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of the ability to give yourself a more consistent or a faster reset in between each attempt at doing that. But
oh yeah, no, of course you can like probably position code yourself like at the bottom of the water and like work your way up. But there's a lot of cycles as well. That's the main difficult thing about. You compare it to like Mario 64 save states. We don't really have the save states that 64 has when it comes to its cycles. Because in 64 save states, it's a full save state, so the cycles are saved, everything's saved. In Sunshine, it's just your position. I'm gonna have to get to this annoying boat. I unfortunately crashed it, but thankfully there is a backup. Where if you dive into these pillars at an angle, you can like hover through them and make your way all the way to the ending platform.
nice. Very nice backup.
And I'm gonna do something called rocket storage, where you can store a rocket, and you can store it infinite times by essentially letting go of the rocket right before it goes off, so it stores its vertical speed.
Sure is, Papa. Come on in, Mama Peach. I think not.
But yeah, all we have left is to ground pound 5 of these platforms.
Don't you ever give up?
Mario! How dare
And that should be the end of the run. Timer will stop as soon as I ground pound the final platform. I might say time, but I'm gonna hope that it's synced up with the gameplay. But we'll see. It might not be. It might be off by a second. This goop is also completely random, by the way. So you can randomly lose another 3 seconds just by this goop hitting you, like just like this. In my world record, I got gooped once, so it could have been like a 47 or a 46. But I got gooped once and still was able to barely hold on to the world record. But time will be coming up right about now. And time.
Could be right about a 1:15:49, maybe 1:15:50.
That's not bad.
GG's.
I think that's the best marathon run ever.
Wow.
Excluding like the pause per se.
Right.
But
Right. No, and given that a few seconds probably bled on either side of that, because, you know, it's not like
Yeah.
you have an auto splitter adjusting for capture cards overheating.
exactly.
Very, very well done.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna try and not waste as much time. I'm gonna switch to these practice codes that we've been talking about.
Okay, very cool.
and show off a couple of fun things that anyone can sort of just grab the game and try and learn for themselves, along with just showing off fun things that people probably have never seen before.
While we do that, I'm going to go ahead and tell people about a few more things. Do want to let you know that your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. And if you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel to get access to the emotes, have ad-free viewing for things, and chat with other subscribers during the replays. And if you'd like to support the GDQ Hotfix a little bit further, you can check out the 2024 Season 4 shirt at theyeti.com/GDQ, going to be the site of some Summer Games Done Quick merchandise before too long here. But the Season 4 shirts are on sale until March 24th, which is very soon, so act fast if you are interested in that. I think we are just about ready to take it back over to a very cool looking Mario, and JJ also looking cool, ready to show us some strats for Mario Sunshine.
All right, so we should be ready to just go off and show off a couple of things. First, I'm going to talk about the thing that I mentioned first, which was Gelato Beach Skip. A very popular trick in this game. There's many different setups for it. People talk about, like, you want to look at the park in the back and not tap the stick at all and hover just at the perfect time, but make sure you're standing on this perfect
line. It kind of sounds like you were describing
There's so
people
many
used for Mario 64 earlier.
Exactly. But there's a lot of leniency for my specific setup for this that I think a lot of people should try. Note ahead of time, the setup that I currently use has a different hover timing than what this setup has. So if I miss it in terms of, like, it's way off, I'm just noting that in advance. But if people who are decent at GBS and want to get better at it, this setup will work perfectly for them. So we're gonna do the same setup, which is just lining up the camera. For people who are learning the game, you need to make sure the camera is lined up from the right side of Mario, not the left. If you try and line up from the left and drop the coconut, he will just run right past it. He will not clip. It is something that the angle is ever so slightly off, so you need to have the camera centered from the right side. You want to grab the coconut and line up with either this line, or in between this white line here, and the edge of the shadow here. Go reset my angle. And once you're in between these two things, you want to backflip and hold A for a full jump and hold forward the whole time. And you will land in this spot, which is the perfect spot for Gelato Beach Skip. And you barely need to tap the stick. You have to tap back maybe, but you're left in just the perfect spot every single time. You don't need to be worrying about lining up anything at all. As long as you backflip and jump, you are just in the perfect spot. So it's definitely something I recommend giving a try, everyone giving a try.
Very cool.
The next very simple trick I will do is Serena 3. This is a shine that I recommend everyone learning in terms of, like, if they want to try the game for the first time. Just try out Serena 3, try moving around with Mario, see how it feels. But yeah, the objective is you want to get this banana, take it all the way to the top in any way you want. You can probably just side flip and wall kick up your way up here, or you can take the stairs, either way. But your objective is you want to have a straight angle towards facing the shine, walk a little bit back, and backflip, and throw the banana at the peak of your jump. I didn't want to get it, surprisingly. I didn't think that would work. Because there's one step of this that's missing. As soon as you get down, backflip and throwing the banana at the top, which is all you have to do is tap down once you are at the peak and right before you jump. So if you tap down, actually, I'm at position. So this is like the position loading, essentially. But if you tap down right when you're at the peak and right before you throw, he will always just clip through. And I'll try and like have a visual representation with my controller as well. Now let's do a couple of times. It's a very simple trick. It's very cool to show off, and it saves having to go through the entire hotel.
Very nice.
So I think those are probably the main two big like speedrun tricks. I talked about the pin a cutscene skips. Those are very simple to learn. So now I'll just go into like a couple of pretty fun things that you could just show off to your friends. And we go Pianta Village. Specifically Pianta Village at night.
And chat, I have a challenge for you. What I want to see happen, what I challenge any of you to do, and I'm going to try to do the same to be part of it. I have the Mario All-Stars collection. What I'd like to do is challenge you. You can just do it, send me a message and text, reach out to me on social media. It's the same name, Teachery at Blue Sky. And like, let me know if you tried these tricks and how they went. If you have the ability to record it, send me a video of yourself nailing the trick. I would absolutely love to see that. And I'm going to put one up of like either my best attempts doing one of these tricks, probably the hotel skip we just saw. That seems pretty intuitive and straightforward like JJ showed off. And I'd love to see your attempts at doing the same.
Yeah, so coming up is just a very fun glitch that actually probably not a lot of people know about. This waterfall, as you can see, it goes all the way down. If you go all the way down, Mario will die. But I want to see what happens. You know, like we want to see like at the end of a rainbow type of thing. I want to see what's like at the end of the waterfall. So if you go to the edge here, unfortunately it fell a little bit. But if you go hug that fence to the waterfall, you can actually just swim down the waterfall. So I'm going to try and swim down the waterfall. I need to make use of these position codes. I have not used them in a while. So I'm going to line myself up way over here. I apologize for the no music, by the way, because I usually listen to my own music when I'm practicing. But we're going to the bottom of the waterfall. We made it to the bottom. And we are currently at the very bottom of the waterfall, which is just under the stage. It's below the death plane. And we can move really anywhere we want over here. It's just a fun little thing to try. All you really have to do is just hug this fence and just turn around.
Very nice.
Fun little trick. All right, now I'm gonna go to Delfino Plaza for a couple of fun little things. So, Delfino Plaza, sometimes like, especially when I'm like running around Delfino Plaza a lot, I sort of get tired of looking at Delfino Plaza. Like too many colors, too bright. Like, I just want to rather clear what Delfino Plaza looks like. So this looks a lot better, in my opinion. Where everything is still here in Delfino Plaza, but just it's completely invisible.
I mean, I do enjoy the view this way. Get yeah.
You can see the blue, you can see the water. And if you look as to why this is happening, the box game is way up there. And it's weird because it's, I don't even know how I can describe this. When you walk into box game, Mario takes a sort of like a jitter step. Sort of as if it feels like he's teleporting to another location. Which he is. I saved my position and I loaded it and now I'm under the plaza. It's as simple as that. And it actually works both ways. Where the real box game was up there and the invisible plaza was everywhere else. Now here in the real plaza, we can get to the invisible box game. So if we go right above where the box game will be, and try and rocket swords our way up, so I'll try and do it like here. Now we're at the invisible box game, and we can see everything below us. We got like a nice little bird's eye view of Delfino Plaza.
You know what? This view is nice too.
Just kind of. Yeah, a lot of nice views here. There's also times where you can get like tired of like swimming. Swimming just feels really, really slow. So what you can do is if you go near Corona Mountain towards this fence here and just press B twice within like 2 seconds per se and just hold forward, we are now under the water and can move a whole lot faster. And sort of just like ride our way around, cruise our way around, and really just go anywhere. And it feels like we're just free to do anything.
Yeah, they forgot to build those walls into this part of the map. Very cool.
So you get to this island a whole lot faster. But as soon as you get out of the water, obviously you can't go back in. I believe that's it for here. I'm trying to think if there's anything off the top of my head. We can go to Gelato Beach. I think I have one more here. I will try and show off. So inside Gelato Beach, there are these dunes that when you spray the dune, the platform, like, it creates like this gap or like a hole, essentially. If we ground pound and we start declining as soon as the hole spawns, Mario actually zips to the ceiling of the entire map. So you see this here, it like creates a hole in the floor. Now if you time a ground pound perfectly, which I'm gonna try and do, I'm now at the very top of the map. And then I'll zip to the bottom, and then the camera will zoom in very fast towards me, having no idea where I am, and then it finds me.
Very cool.
It's a pretty neat little thing. I will end this whole thing off with just what I showed off in Corona Mountain with the rocket storage. What happens if I do that a lot of times? So I'm sure people are wondering, when I did that twice and I went pretty high into the loading zone, that was a lot. But what happens if I have an infinite source of water and can just keep storing rockets?
I'm listening.
Well, look at that vertical speed, and you'll see that it's just going up, and it keeps going up.
I do enjoy when number go up. There's a certain type of game that's...
We all love a
certain
good...
type of game that's
yeah,
all
we all
about
love a good number go up. I did think of one more right after this, too. Which sort of does the same thing, but with our horizontal speed. But instead of number go up, it's number go down. I think this is good enough. Where when we sidestep, we can really do anything. Our vertical speed will stay the same. As soon as we move, other than sidestep, we'll lose that speed. And as soon as we leave this platform that we're on, it launches us at the speed that we were at. So as soon as I launch, I will just go straight to the moon. I'm gonna save my position here, just so I save some time of falling. So everyone say
Yep,
uppies.
it's time for uppies.
Whee! And if you look down, there goes, it's all gone. And now we're just making our way down. Look, we made it down. But that would probably take a round, with the height that I just had, probably about 45 minutes. 30 to 40 minutes.
You know what? I had a number in
falling.
my head, and it wasn't anything close.
So yeah, so now let's go to Rico Harbor for the final thing. It is Rico 2.
While you're setting
inside
up
the
there,
bloopers.
Where can the people find you?
I can be found at twitch.tv/JJSRL. I'm in my second to last semester at college, so I've been very focused on that. But currently, I am grinding to hold every world record on the leaderboard because I hold 90%.
Yeah, you recently got 96 shines. I saw that.
Yes, I recently got 96 shines, and my current goal is to hold every record that doesn't involve blue coins. Because I personally am not a fan of blue coins because it changes the muscle memory of a lot of the shines that I do. Where when I'm like pin of 3, for example, I'm collecting like 6 blue coins in that shine in comparison to when I do it with any percent, I don't. So it's a completely different route.
Yeah, and that's just like we talked about a little bit earlier when DMC3 was on. If there's something that you're not comfortable with or you don't enjoy doing as part of a speed run, either figure out how to route around it or just don't do it. You're doing your version of a speed run as fast as you can. That is ultimately the thing that I think it's useful to consider. Mario? Wait, how to get up there? But no, honestly, like
I position loaded myself onto here.
But yeah, I think it's just
that's just
like,
part one
it's
of
really
it.
integral to keep in mind that whatever you're doing when you're running a speed run, like the way to keep it fun and fresh for you is running the version of it that you enjoy.
Exactly. Especially when like you're not trying to be super competitive, especially at the very start. Just have fun. This is all just supposed to be fun. So that's the main goal of this. But we're gonna have some more fun here. In Mario 64, everyone knows backward long jumps, BLJs, but I don't know if people have heard about the backwards blooper slide.
I have not,
which is,
but I'm interested.
If you angle yourself at this against this slope, the blooper goes backwards and just falls. So if we load a position or save a position and keep reloading it,
all right, I'm beginning to see the vision.
Over and over again, we start to see big number go down, but it's negative, so we do get to see the big number go up. And we just keep going up. I'm just holding down at this point. I'm just gonna go to 1,000 and I'm gonna let go and we're just gonna see what happens. The camera is just going crazy at this point. It doesn't know what to do. I'm moving so fast backwards that we just clip out of bounds and then we fall and we die. But that's Super Mario Sunshine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JJ.
A very fun game.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this to the show. It was amazing to have you. Congratulations on almost being done with college and with the world record hunt. I hope that continues to go well for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me on. This was so much fun. I'm glad the run went well. Thank you for the co-commentary. I had a lot of fun talking about this game.
Yeah, it was absolutely my pleasure. Again, please, a big round of applause in the chat for JJ and for that awesome run of Super Mario Sunshine, plus the bonus lessons from Dr. JJ about how to do those tricks in Mario Sunshine. Again, especially with those first 2, I would love to see you try those for yourself. You know, we could put it on the honor system and just write in to tell me about it if that's what you'd like to do. Or if you have the ability to capture video, that would be amazing too. I'm going to give them a try. I'm going to post it up on social media, so do stay tuned for that. Also, stay tuned in just a few minutes for the debut of our next showrunner, Satan herself, running the show Creature Corner, featuring all sorts of shows and runs with cute little guys with non-human protagonists. Tonight's show will feature Danger running Super Mario Odyssey, Abby's Corner running Symphony